Chapter 22. Change brought upon by power. The house meeting came to an end. The next day, Lu Ming, Li Ping, and Xueqi moved back into the Lord's residence once again. As he was standing in front of the residence gates, his mind was filled with thoughts. All of this was thanks to the change brought by the advancement of his power. If he was still the piece of trash whose blood meridians had been stripped from him, he would be unable to save his own life, let alone move back into the Lord's residence. Besides that, Li Ping and Xueqi would also be unable to live a smooth life. However, everything changed because of his sudden rise. Not only did he completely disrupt Lu Yunxiong and Lu Yao's plans, but he also snatched back the Lord's residence. Li Ping was also guaranteed a comfortable life from now on. 1. As the descendant of the Lu family's main bloodline, Lu Ming could succeed as the Lord whenever he wanted as long as he felt like it. However, it was far from enough, as all this was merely the beginning. Lu Ming knew that there were greater challenges awaiting him in the mystical sword sect. He could not slow down for a single moment. "Minger, let's go in. The room has been tidied up." Li Ping smiled as she walked out with a sword in hand. The Elder Council sent 4 young maids over specifically to serve Li Ping and Lu Ming, so the Lord's residence was quickly cleared of Lu Yao and the others' possessions. "Minger, now that you have a foothold in martial arts, you should use the spiritual weapon that your father sent back." Li Ping handed the sword in her hands over to Lu Ming. This sword, which had been taken by Lu Chuan, was once again back in their hands. Lu Ming nodded and took the sword as he walked into the residence together with Li Ping. After he returned to his room, he started cultivating. Having consumed the spirit soul pill a few days ago, his cultivation spiked from top of 1st grade warrior realm to beginner of 3rd grade warrior realm. After ascending 2 grades in one go, it was inevitable that his foundation would be unsteady, thus he needed to consolidate it. After cultivating the true war dragon technique for a few hours, Lu Ming entered the Supreme Shrine and started to cultivate his martial arts skills. 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. On the 8th day, Lu Ming was cultivating in the Supreme Shrine when he sensed a commotion outside, so he proceeded to exit the Supreme Shrine. He heard Xueqi's voice coming from outside his room the moment he went out. "Young master, Lu Bing is here to pay his respects." "Lu Bing?" Startled, Lu Ming opened his door and walked out. Xueqi nodded. "Young master, do you wish to see him?" "Sure I do. Why not?" Lu Ming smiled. When he reached the living room, he saw Lu Bing pacing anxiously. Lu Bing smiled the second he saw Lu Ming. "Master Ming, you've finally come." Lu Ming noticed the change in how Lu Bing addressed him. He smiled feebly as he sat on the main seat absent-mindedly. "Why have you come to me?" Lu Bing suddenly clasped his fist at Lu Ming. "Master Ming, I've come to apologize today. I was blind to your talent before and even offended you before. I hope that you'll be gracious enough not to hold a grudge." "Lu Bing, the 5th branch elder asked you to come, didn't he?" Lu Ming asked. "You're right. My father asked me to come, but it is aligned with my aim as well. Master Ming, there are 5,000 Asilavira notes here which I hope you'll graciously accept." Lu Bing took out a stack of Asilavira notes and handed it over to Lu Ming. "All right. Xueqi, help me accept it." Lu Ming smiled. To be frank, he had never once thought about Lu Bing, but since he came to apologize with money in hand, why should he not accept it? Xueqi went up to take the Asilavira notes, her small face flushed with excitement. She had never seen so many Asilavira notes before. Although it pained Lu Bing, he forced a smile. "Thank you, Master Ming, I shall take my leave now." Just after Lu Bing had left, another maid walked up to report, "Young master, the Lord of the Li family has come to pay his respects." "The Lord of the Li family? Li Fu?" Lu Ming furrowed his brows. He had a terrible impression of Li Fu. "Have you notified your lady?" Lu Ming asked. "Yes, I have," the maid replied. At that moment, Li Ping walked over and said, "Minger, since your uncle has arrived, let's just meet him." Lu Ming nodded and ordered the maid to bring Li Fu in. "Haha, lil sister Minger, I've come to visit." Li Fu guffawed the moment he came in. His face was plastered with such a wide smile that anyone unaware of the situation would assume that he had a close relationship with Lu Ming and his mother. "Big brother," Li Ping greeted him. However, An icy smile hung on Lu Ming's face as he sat absent-mindedly. Lord Li, why have you come to the Lu residence today? It can't be because you wanted to meet this piece of trash, right? Cough. Cough. Li Fu coughed as his elderly face turned red. He chuckled wryly and said, Minger, you're such a genius. How could you be a piece of trash? If anyone says that the next time, I'll definitely break his leg. Minger, I believed in those rumors because I'm muddled due to my old age. I hope you won't take it to heart. At that point, Lu Ming realized that yet another person had come to apologize. Lu Ming's outburst this time was definitely startling. Although he had offended the Duanmu family, he had also gained the favor of Mu Lan from the Elixir Hall. It was hard to tell how successful he would be in the future. Furthermore, it was set in stone that Lu Ming was next in line as the family lord, so anyone who had offended him before, such as Lu Bing and Li Fu, would be in trouble. Therefore, they all stepped up to apologize and reconcile. It was now evidently clear that the strong ruled over the weak in the martial arts world. Rest assured, big brother. I definitely won't take it to heart, Li Ping said as a joyful smile lit up her face. That would be great, lil sister. I've prepared 10 qi condensation pills as a token of gratitude. Please accept it. Li Fu said as he produced a jade bottle. The qi condensation pills were inferior second-level pills. One pill was worth 2,000 Asilaviro taels, while 10 would amount to 20,000 Asilaviro taels. It seemed that Li Fu had gone to the bank for this one. It should be noted that 20,000 Asilaviro taels were equal to the Li family's income for half a year. Even the Lu family, the biggest family in the Fiery Wind City, had an annual income of approximately 200,000 Asilaviro taels. Thank you then. Lu Ming quickly accepted it. He had originally planned to ignore Li Fu, but Li Ping was from the Li family after all. Lu Ming could tell that she still cared about the Li family's attitude a lot and was obviously pleased when Li Fu came to apologize. That was why Lu Ming had to pretend for Li Ping's sake. There was no harm in accepting the 10 qi condensation pills. Li Fu finally relaxed after seeing Lu Ming accept the pills. Even though he was pained over the 20,000 Asilaviro taels, it was an investment. If Lu Ming really rose in power, the Li family would not have a hard time. If he had known that Lu Ming was so talented, he would have avoided offending him at all costs. After some short banter, Li Fu bade his farewell and left. Xueqi, how many meridians have you opened? Lu Ming quickly asked Xueqi after Li Fu left. Li Ping stared at her with a curious expression as well. Young master, madam, I just opened the 8th meridian yesterday. Xueqi answered cheerfully. What? Lu Ming and Li Ping were shocked to their core as they stared at her incredulously. The first few meridians were relatively easy, but it would get progressively harder. Xueqi had already opened 8 meridians after 10 or so days. What was important was that she was cultivating with the qi condensation art, which was a basic art. She had not consumed a single pill at all. This kind of talent was shocking. Can Xueqi open a divine meridian without the help of a blood meridian? Lu Ming could not help but wonder. Mother, Xueqi, don't tell anyone about this for now. Lu Ming told Li Ping and Xueqi, who both nodded. Chapter 23. Go forth with the dreams of a young man. The next day, Lu Ming went to the Lu family library and picked an inferior yellow-level martial arts technique for Xueqi. It was the Jade Cloud technique. Lu Ming was not petty enough to be reluctant to share the true War Dragon technique with Xueqi. Instead, it was because the technique was more suitable for males as it was extremely powerful, so it was not fitting for Xueqi to cultivate. If the technique was not suitable, it did not matter how superior it was because it would sometimes even do more bad than good. 1. The Jade Cloud technique was gentle yet firm, so it was very compatible with Xueqi. Lu Ming also picked out the graceful light sword technique, which was an inferior yellow-level martial arts technique, for Xueqi. Now, nobody dared to utter a single word when he was picking a martial arts technique. After Lu Ming selected the martial arts techniques, he headed towards the Elixir Hall to purchase a batch of Dragon Tiger pills to help Xueqi's cultivation. While he was purchasing the Dragon Tiger pills, he learned that Mu Lan was no longer at the Elixir Hall. According to the staff from the Elixir Hall, Mu Lan had returned to the mystical sword sect. Mu Lan's position as the hall master of the Elixir Hall was merely a trial. Now that the trial was over, Naturally, she returned to the mystical sword sect. After handing the martial arts techniques and pills to Xueqi, Lu Ming returned to his room and entered the supreme shrine. He consumed a qi condensating pill and started to cultivate. Just like the other pills, after he swallowed the qi condensating pill, a strong force emanated from his spine and started to absorb the medicinal properties of the pill apart from refining the impurities of the pill. Lu Ming then converted the influx of pure energy into essential qi. The qi condensating pill was an inferior second-level pill, which was more potent than the dragon tiger pill. However, it paled in comparison to the spirit soul pill. Lu Ming's cultivation was advancing without pause. However, his essential qi was twice as dense as normal essential qi. If he wanted to improve it, he would require more energy, to be exact, around 3 times the amount of normal essential qi. It meant that if he wanted to improve his cultivation, he would need to spend 3 times the amount of energy of what a normal person required. There was no way around it. Being strong meant that he had to put in more effort. After all 10 qi condensating pills were refined, Lu Ming's cultivation advanced from beginner of 3rd grade warrior realm to beginner of 4th grade warrior realm. They were worth 20,000 Asilavira taels, but Lu Ming had only advanced by a single grade. It was definitely a luxury, one that other people could not afford. Even an elite disciple of the Lu family could only redeem 2 qi condensating pills in a year. Lu Ming was not satisfied with this rate. After he finished the 10 qi condensating pills, he visited the elixir hall again and purchased 30 qi condensating pills in one go. He received a 10% discount, so the total was 54,000 Asilavira taels. In one go, there were only around 15,000 taels left from 130,000 Asilaviras that he had obtained from the Samophic pirates. Lu Ming continued with his cultivation after purchasing the pills. In the later stages of cultivation, a greater amount of energy was needed. After Lu Ming refined all 30 qi condensating pills, his cultivation advanced to a mere beginner of 6th grade warrior realm. Over a month had passed after he consolidated his foundation. There was only half a month left before the day when the mystical sword sect opened its doors for recruitment. Lu Ming had reaped many benefits over the course of that month and a half. Not only did his cultivation advance at a rapid pace, but his cultivation of martial arts techniques were also progressing swiftly. The Flame Dragon Fist and the Dragon Serpent Steps were cultivated to the 5th stage, which was the perfect divine-like usage stage. The superior yellow-level sword technique, the lustrous sword technique, had been cultivated to the 4th stage, which was the mastery of technique stage. Lu Ming's power experienced a substantial rise compared to the house meeting a month and a half ago. However, Xueqi was the most shocking. With just the Jade Cloud technique and the Tiger Dragon pills, Ku actually managed to open 3 divine meridians over the course of a month and a half. Lu Ming was able to open 3 divine meridians thanks to the help of the divine-level martial arts technique, True War Dragon technique, and the peculiar incomplete blood meridian. However, Xueqi's blood meridians had yet to awaken. She was also cultivating an inferior yellow-level martial arts technique at a terrifying pace. Despite that, Lu Ming and Li Ping were unquestionably happy for her. On that day, Lu Ming was prepared to make a move and set out for the mystical sword sect. Mother, here's 10,000 Asilavira notes. Keep it for future use. He produced a stack of Asilavira notes in the courtyard and handed it over to Li Ping. Ming'er, what are you doing? You'll be heading to the mystical sword sect where there'll be plenty of places where you need Asilavira to cultivate. Why are you giving it to me? I'll be at the Lu residence where I'm short of nothing. Li Ping quickly pushed the Asilavira notes back to Lu Ming. Mother, I've encountered a miracle. I don't need any money. You should keep it and take the time to spend it in the future. Seeing how confident and firm Lu Ming was, Li Ping did not reject the notes and kept them away. While she gazed at his sharp gaze, Li Ping felt an incomparable sense of comfort and pride. Her son had finally achieved greatness. Ming'er, allow Xueqi to accompany you to the mystical sword sect this time. Li Ping smiled gently after a moment of pondering. On the side, Xueqi's expression shifted. Madam, who will take care of you if I'm gone? Silly girl, don't I have Chun Tao and the 3 girls now? There's no need to worry that nobody will take care of me. Furthermore, you're gifted in martial arts. It would be a waste if you stayed with me, Li Ping said as she patted Xueqi on the head. Madam. Xueqi started to sniffle as tears welled up in her eyes. Lu Ming exclaimed in delight because it was true that Xueqi had a talent for martial arts, so staying with the Lu family was truly a waste of talent. Lu Ming shared the same thought of bringing Xueqi to the mystical sword sect to see if she could join the school. Perhaps, someone in the mystical sword sect could help her awaken her blood meridian. All right, Minger, it isn't early anymore. You should start moving now. Li Ping reminded. Then we'll take our leave now, mother. Please take care of yourself. Lu Ming felt reluctant to leave. Off you go. Be careful. Li Ping smiled. Madam, please take care of yourself. I'll come back to visit you, Xueqi said with teary eyes. Off you go. Li Ping nodded encouragingly. Lu Ming responded with a bob of his head. Without saying much, he turned and left along with Xueqi. Some things were best done instead of spoken. As she watched Lu Ming's disappearing figure, Li Ping's eyes started to redden. Minger, I believe that you'll truly be a strong person the next time I see you, just like your father, she murmured to herself. Lu Ming arrived at the Lu family stables with Xueqi. Xueqi had never learned how to ride a horse, so they just took a green-scaled horse and left the city. Outside the fiery wind city, Lu Ming flicked the reins in his hands. The green-scaled horse galloped like the raging wind, leaving a trail of dust behind. In a vast and boundless land, Xueqi was wrapped in Lu Ming's arms. As they galloped into the far distance, he sniffed the faint fragrance coming from her hair. A sudden surge of ambition and pride surged in his heart. To drink and lie upon a beauty's lap, and to travel the world with naught but a sword in hand. To return favors and grudges, and be accompanied by a loved one, these were the dreams of a young man. A young man's dreams would forever be distant. He would grip a bottle of unfiltered wine and write a song about lost love, living life to the fullest. He would be a hero that traveled the land with naught but a sword in hand, with his pride as strong as his blood, spreading through the lands. Since Lu Ming had acquired the supreme shrine in this life and risen from the ashes, he was not going to live a normal life. The fiery wind city was merely the start, and the mystical sword sect was not going to be the end. His life was fated to be filled with action. Chapter 24. Mystical Sword City. Wei Ziming. Just like its name, the green-scaled horse was covered in green scales. It had the blood meridian of a demonic beast and was undoubtedly strong, as it was able to travel 1,500 kilometers in a single day. More than 10 days later, the weary Lu Ming and Xueqi arrived at the mystical sword city, which was only 25 kilometers away from the mystical sword sect. It was the nearest city to the school and was unbelievably bustling with activity. Both its population and size were over 10 times larger than that of the fiery wind city. With merchant groups coming and going from various places in the blazing Sun Empire, it was a busy area. The main streets were wide enough to fit 10 beast carriages in a row, while the side of the streets was lined with shops. Indeed, it was a lively scene. It was Lu Ming's and Xueqi's first time in such a large city. They were scanning all around them with burning curiosity, like two villagers who had just entered the city. After strolling around for half a day, their stomachs started to rumble. The duo found themselves a restaurant and entered the building. The restaurant was 3 stories tall with an elegantly decorated interior. They proceeded to the 3rd floor, where almost half of the tables were already occupied. Everyone's eyes sparkled the moment Lu Ming and Xueqi arrived. Lu Ming had a slender build with distinct features. He donned a fitting garb that accentuated his heroic figure. On the other hand, Xueqi had a graceful body and a youthful face. They seemed like a perfect couple when walking together. 2 young men were seated at one of the tables. Out of the 2, one of them wore a brocade garb with a jade belt hanging at his waist. He looked like he was around 18 years old, and he carried the air of a young prince. The other person was around the same age, but he was skinny and was dressed like a servant. The moment the youth in the brocade garb laid his eyes on Lu Ming and Xueqi, his eyes lit up. To be more precise, he was staring at Xueqi with shining eyes. However, his eyes flashed with murderous intent when his eyes shifted to Lu Ming. "A fresh flower on a heap of shit," the young man murmured. Naturally, Lu Ming and Xueqi did not pay any attention to the gazes of the people around them. After they found themselves a table beside a window, they ordered a few dishes as well as a jar of wine and started to chow down. "Young master, the mystical sword city sure is crowded," said Xueqi as she looked at Lu Ming's misty eyes. Her cheeks were pink as she lifted her cup and took a sip from it. Lu Ming raised his drink and downed it too. That's right. There are only 2 days left before the Mystical Sword Sect's annual recruitment day. Every young talent in almost 2,000 cities from the eastern side of the Blazing Sun City has come. At that moment, the young man in the brocade garb lifted his cup and approached them with a thin youth behind him. Young lady, my name is Wei Ziming. May I have the honor of knowing your name? I hope that you'll grant me the privilege of drinking with me, he said, raising his cup. However, he did not bother to conceal his gleaming eyes that were scanning every inch of Xueqi's body while completely ignoring Yu Ming. Xueqi instantly felt slightly uncomfortable with the way Wei Ziming was staring at her. She felt a tinge of disgust as she said, I'm sorry. I just drank a moment ago, so I don't feel like it now. Rejected by Xueqi right off the bat, Wei Ziming's face immediately darkened. Wretched girl, what do you mean? My young lord asked you to drink with him because he thinks highly of you. Don't throw away the privilege that's been given to you. The thin youth beside Wei Ziming shouted before he snapped his head towards Lu Ming. Why are you still sitting there, kid? You'd best scram now. My young master wants that seat. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. The two men were really on their high horses. He had not even uttered a word, yet they already wanted him gone. Where did these yapping mutts come from? Lu Ming said in an icy tone as he lifted his cup and took another sip. How dare you speak to me like that, brat? You're courting death. The thin youth yelled with a nasty expression on his face. He lunged towards Lu Ming's throat with his fingers curled like an eagle's claw. His incomparably sharp fingers whistled through the air as he went for a killer move instantly. If he managed to grab Lu Ming's throat, it would definitely be crushed. He was overbearingly high-handed. Despite being merely a servant, he wanted someone dead just because of a single disagreement. You're merely a second-grade warrior realm. Scram. Lu Ming shouted with a simple lash of his palm. The palm advanced later than the claws, but it was the first move to connect. It landed squarely on the thin youth's face, and he yelped in pain as he was blasted away. Soon, he landed heavily on the floor. Startled, the other people in the restaurant started to whisper to themselves ears. Who's this kid? He has the guts to hit Wei Ziming's henchman. How daring! Wei Ziming is the eldest son of the Superior City, the Guardian Flame City's lord. This kid is done for. I bet that the kid doesn't even know where Wei Ziming comes from, or he wouldn't have dared to hit Wei Ziming's servant. After all, you have to check it before you wreck it. 1. The discussion around Lu Ming drifted into his ears. He suddenly came to see the light. The duo was from the Guardian Flame City. It was no wonder that they were so arrogant. There were over 10,000 cities in the Blazing Sun Empire that had different levels based on their respective levels of power. The levels were mainly categorized as inferior, mediocre, and superior. The Fiery Wind City was considered as an inferior city, one which most people had probably never heard of. However, the Guardian Fire City was a superior city with massive power whose name was famous across all of the Blazing Sun Empire. Ah! How dare you hit me, brat? You're dead, you're dead. The thin youth started to yell in a frenzy. Wei Ziming's face turned another shade darker as his eyes glimmered with the cold intent of murder. Brat, do you know I'm the young master of the main family in the Guardian Flame City? He boasted as he glared at Lu Ming. I just found out. Lu Ming calmly replied. Oh, so you just found out, but I suppose it's not too late. Now, kneel and apologize to me. After that, slap yourself 30 times. Leave this lady behind, and scram. Then, I'll consider letting you off, Wei Ziming said confidently. He believed that Lu Ming would definitely agree to do this after learning who he was. However, he was stunned at the very next moment because Lu Ming merely glanced at him and said dully, I thought your mutt was the only dumb one. Turns out you're even duller than he is. Get out of my sight this instant, or I'll send you flying too. Everyone else in the eatery was dead silent. Wei Ziming was a wild one, but who would have thought that Lu Ming was even worse? Brat! You're courting death for challenging me. Furious, Wei Ziming stretched his palm out to slap Lu Ming's face. His palm contained an immense amount of essential qi, unquestionably bearing the cultivation of 5th-grade warrior realm. However, Lu Ming caught him by the wrist even before his palm could connect. Snap! The sound of bones cracking could then be heard, followed by Wei Ziming letting out a blood-curdling scream in pain. "Ah, my hand. Release my hand, you good-for-nothing. I'll make sure you have a tombless death." Wei Ziming howled in fury. 2. Slap. At that second, Lu Ming slapped him square in the face, halting Wei Ziming mid-howl. Wei Ziming stared at him incredulously with wide eyes as though he had been slapped silly. He never expected that Lu Ming would actually dare to slap him. "I said if you don't scram now, I'll send you flying too," Lu Ming's calm voice repeated then. Slap. Another slap rang out, landing on the other side of Wei Ziming's face. By then, his face was bloated like a pig's. Lu Ming released a surge of essential qi and threw Wei Ziming towards the stairs. "Get lost or I'll break your limbs," he threatened. Chapter 25. Assassination. Shadow Dragon Pavilion. The entire place started to ring with the sound of deep breaths being sucked in. Everyone on the third floor was staring at Lu Ming with shocked expressions. They guessed that Lu Ming had dared to send the thin youth flying because he did not know who Wei Ziming was. If he had known about Wei Ziming's identity, Lu Ming would never have dared to make a move. However, they never expected Lu Ming to take even harsher action after finding out who Wei Ziming was. He was simply domineering. "Brat. You've got guts. Tell me your name." Wei Ziming rose shakily. He was reining his temper in as he glared at Lu Ming resentfully. "I'm Lu Ming." Lu Ming smiled feebly as he calmly announced his name. He was not even afraid of the Duanmu family, so why should he be scared of the Wei family? "All right, we shall see," Wei Ziming hissed through gritted teeth. He then limped down the stairs with the thin youth. "The way I see it, Wei Ziming will definitely never let it slide. He'll get his vengeance. That's for certain. The Guardian Fire City has always been run under tyranny. Given that Wei Ziming was disgraced in such a manner, there's no way they'll let it slide." Wei Zio, Wei Ziming's little brother, is a rare prodigy in the Wei family. He came to join the mystical sword sect's recruitment drive and is considered among the strongest 100 in this batch of newbies. He'll probably look into it now that his elder brother has taken such a humiliating beating. The restaurant was in heated discussion after Wei Ziming left. Meanwhile, Lu Ming merely smiled and continued to enjoy his meal with Qiu Yu. Outside the restaurant, a dark, resentful expression hung on Wei Ziming's face. "Young master, should we look for second young master and let him deal with that rascal?" the thin youth asked. "Of course we have to tell my little brother, but there's no need to make a move now. The mystical sword sect recruitment drive will start in another 2 days. After the recruitment drive, the new disciples from all 4 halls of the school will go through a trial, except for Qilin Hall. Little brother will kill Lu Ming then. I want him to experience the despair of dying right after joining the mystical sword sect," Wei Ziming said ruthlessly. After Lu Ming and Qiu Yu finished their meal, they spent a little while longer strolling the streets of the mystical sword city. They then found themselves an inn and booked 2 rooms. Lu Ming sat on his haunches after entering his room. He let out a joyful expression as he felt the faint itch emanating from his spine. After nearly 4 months, he could finally feel that his blood meridian was about to be completely grown. There was just one more step left. Lu Ming could feel that it would take around 3 days to half a month before the blood meridian would complete its growth. His blood meridian had already showcased miraculous effects before it could even finish growing. Lu Ming was excited to see what abilities it would have after completing its growth and what level it would be. After feeling it for a while, Lu Ming started to cultivate by reciting the true war dragon technique. Spiritual energy from all around started to gather towards him. Soon, night arrived. The inn was enveloped in a veil of silence. Shift. Shift. Lu Ming suddenly snapped his eyes wide open when he heard something breaking the silence outside his room. Although it was only a slight rustle, it did not escape Lu Ming's ears. There were 5 figures outside his room. 2 of them were outside the door while the other 3 were next to the window. Suddenly, the door and window opened simultaneously. The 5 figures darted in like a flash of lightning as the glint of 5 sharp black blades flickered towards Lu Ming with the intent to kill. Their movements were quick, concise, and ruthless. It was clearly the actions of trained assassins. Clink! Lu Ming took action the moment the 5 figures darted into the room. His figure flashed as the onyx blade sword turned into a trail of light and sliced through flesh in one go. Whoosh! Blood splashed everywhere as Lu Ming immediately sliced one of the assassin's throat. Clink! Clink! Another glint from the blade followed closely. Like thunder flashing in the dark, Lu Ming spun around and another 2 assassins fell by his hand. The 3 assassins instantly went down not because they were weak. In fact, they were far from weak. The trio that Lu Ming had slain had reached 6th grade warrior realm, whereas the remaining 2 had cultivated up to 7th grade warrior realm. With an ambush by such a lineup, even an ace on 8th grade warrior realm would be slain. Lu Ming was alive simply because he was even stronger and had already noticed them. Dang it! The intel about the target's power was inaccurate. Retreat! One of the assassins yelped in surprise and frantically backed away. Since you've already come, you might as well stay. The moment Lu Ming finished his sentence in an icy tone, he used the dragon serpent steps. After he appeared behind the assassin in a single step, he lashed out with his blade and a dismembered head landed on the floor. He then took a few more steps and caught up with the next person. After he realized that he could not escape, the remaining assassin yelled as he plunged towards Lu Ming without a care for his own life. Die! Rumble! The flame dragon fist erupted and 2 consecutive hits landed on the assassin's body. Blasted back by the blows, the assassin crashed into the wall and spurted out a mouthful of blood. Speak! Who are you? Who sent you here? Lu Ming demanded in an icy tone. Hee, so what if I told you? We're from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion. Someone paid to end your life, but as for who it is, you'll never find out. Be prepared for the Shadow Wolf Pavilion's relentless hunt, Lu Ming. 2. After the assassin said that, black blood spewed from his mouth. He had actually committed suicide by poison. The Shadow Wolf Pavilion? Lu Ming furrowed his brows. He had heard of the Shadow Wolf Pavilion before. It was one of the 4 largest assassin groups in the Blazing Sun Empire. They had a large circle of influence and specifically dealt in paid assassinations. However, they were extremely secretive as nobody knew where the headquarters of the Shadow Wolf Pavilion was. Hence, the 4 assassin groups were loathed by many, but there was no way to remove them by the roots. Some even said that these 4 assassin groups were backed and cultivated by the 5 main sects as tools to deal with the rising prodigies. Still, it was nothing but a rumor since nobody knew what the truth was. Who would hire assassins from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion to bring me down? Lu Ming furrowed his brows. The first thing that came to his mind was Lu Yao, Lu Yunxiong, and the Duanmu family. These people were the most susceptible bunch as well as Wei Ziming. However, the odds of it being Wei Ziming were not high since he already had a gist of how powerful Lu Ming was. The assassin just now had exclaimed that Lu Ming's strength did not add up to the intel they received. If that was the case, it was most likely Lu Yao, Lu Yunxiong, and the Duanmu family. It seems like there are shadows on the prowl in the mystical sword sect. Lu Ming sneered as his eyes flashed with killing intent. Young master, are you all right? Xueqi walked out of her room and was shocked when she saw the bodies lying on the ground. The commotion just now had startled the other guests staying at the inn. Xueqi, let's go. We're changing inns. Lu Ming grabbed Xueqi as he jumped out of the window and sprinted forward. The duo traversed in the dark and stopped at a different inn after half an hour. In the next 2 days, neither of them took a step out of their rooms. Except for food, they spent their time cultivating behind closed doors. 2 days soon passed in the blink of an eye. The Mystical Sword Sect's annual recruitment drive officially started. Chapter 26. Vermilion Bird Hall. The Mystical Sword Sect was divided into 5 halls, and each hall occupied a majestic mountain. The Qilin Peak was in the middle, the Azure Dragon Peak was on the east, the White Tiger Peak on the west, the Vermilion Bird Peak on the south, and the Onyx Tortoise Peak on the north. The new apprentice enrollment test was held at the mountain before the 5 halls, and that was the main gate of the Mystical Sword Sect. When Lu Ming and Xueqi arrived at the gate, the entire area was filled with people hustling and bustling about. There were about tens of thousands of generally young people below their 20s. At the foot of the mountain, 2 broad pathways led towards the center of the Mystical Sword Sect. Those with jade credentials, head towards your right. Those without jade credentials, head towards your left for the enrollment tests. A dashing young man yelled with a sword on his back. Lu Ming was told that those with jade credentials were exempted from the enrollment tests and were allowed to join the mystical sword sect right away. Possessing a 1 in a million jade credential signified that the person had already been tested and was deemed exceptional by an expert from the mystical sword sect. Lu Ming had received the jade credential from Mulan, so he was naturally exempted from the enrollment tests. Xueqi, go ahead and take the tests, Lu Ming said to Xueqi. Oh, all right, young lord. She nodded. You can do it. He smiled encouragingly at her. The enrollment tests included many sections like a willpower test, meridians check, meridians testing, and many more. There were professional meridian inspectors there to evaluate the blood meridian levels, so it did not matter if one's blood meridians were not awakened yet. This was a good chance for Xueqi to find out what kind of blood meridians she had, so she nodded vigorously and made a beeline toward the left. 1. There was a long line of people on the left mountain path. Meanwhile, Lu Ming waited outside patiently for Xueqi's results. Sigh, why such high standards? I don't think I'll stand a chance to be accepted into the mystical sword sect. Time after time, Lu Ming saw people walk out dejectedly. Some were even sobbing. Those were the people who had obviously failed the enrollment test. Slowly, Xueqi disappeared into the mountains as the queue progressed. All of a sudden, 3 rainbows shot up from deep within the left side of the mountain. The rainbows pierced through the clouds and rose above the heavens, shining as brightly as the sun. 3 rainbows signified 3 unlocked divine meridians. Is that Xueqi? Lu Ming's eyes gleamed. At the sight of the 3 rainbows, chaos erupted at the main gate of the mystical sword sect. 3 rainbows. This means that someone has unlocked 3 divine meridians. There's actually such a genius in this generation. I've only unlocked 6 acupuncture points from the first divine meridian after stalling at the peak of top novice realm for 2 years. It's impossible to compare one human to another. If that person's willing, he or she could totally enter Qilin halls. All eyes were fixated at the direction of the rainbows as chatter broke out. Squawk. A gigantic white crane flew out from deep within the mystical sword sect and headed towards the rainbows. A master from the mystical sword sect has appeared. This genius should be heading towards the skies soon. Some people exclaimed with envy in their eyes. It looks like Xueqi's been accepted into mystical sword sect without a doubt. Lu Ming smiled as he made his way to the mountain path on the right. There were also mystical sword sect's apprentices on guard at the entrance on the right mountain path. Since there were only very few people, Lu Ming entered with ease after flashing his jade credentials. It was a steep incline up, though not for long. Soon, there were rainbows on the left side of the mountain once again. This time, there were 2 rainbows. Right after that, there were another 2 rainbows. It looks like a gathering of geniuses in this batch of new enrollments. Even Lu Ming was shocked to see 2 consecutive geniuses with 2 unlocked divine meridians. Not forgetting those with jade credentials that were exempted from the tests, like him. How many geniuses in this group of people? It was a genius galore. How interesting. Fighting spirit flashed before Lu Ming's eyes. He continued on his journey to the end of the mountain path, and there it was before him, a vast plaza. At that moment, there were thousands of people on that plaza. The plaza led to 4 different pathways, and along each pathway was a 10-meter slab of stone in height with one of the 4 great beasts carved on them. The only pathway missing was the one that led to Qilin Hall. Onyx Tortoise Hall. This way to the Onyx Tortoise Hall. Join us, dear juniors. We guarantee loads of benefits. A few youths hollered at the top of their lungs at Onyx Tortoise Hall's entrance. White Tiger Hall. Joining us at the White Tiger Hall will be the best choice you'll ever make. We're the strongest hall secondary only to the Qilin Hall. Come, join the Azure Dragon Hall. We're the oldest of them all. Vermilion Bird Hall. We have many beautiful girls here at the Vermilion Bird Hall. One after another, voices rang out as the 4 halls tried their best to attract newcomers. Newcomers represented new blood, and they spoke for the future of the hall, so it was extremely vital, especially given the fierce competition between the 4 halls. Newly enrolled apprentices were given free will to enter into any of the 4 halls. People with jade credentials like Lu Ming were the exception. They belonged to the hall that had issued them their jade pieces. Only Qilin Hall operated differently. Qilin Hall was extremely mysterious and was the most powerful hall among the 5. Qilin Hall apprentices were carefully handpicked and they were all the cream of the crop. No one knew how many new apprentices Qilin Hall would accept in a year. Furthermore, it was only normal for it to have the least amount of people. Suddenly, something captured Lu Ming's attention from the corner of his eye. Near the entrance of the White Tiger Hall, dressed in a white dress, Lu Yao was the center of attention. That's Lu Yao. I heard she's awakened a 5th-level blood meridian with 2 unlocked divine meridians. She's also engaged to Duanmu family's super genius, Duanmu Lin. What a Cinderella story. I know. I'm so jealous. If it were me, I'd wake up smiling every day. You. Why would Duanmu Lin ever consider you? A few young women whispered enviously near Lu Ming. Lu Yao's gaze swept across the area even as she charmed the crowd around her. When her gaze landed on Lu Ming, her face darkened as anger flashed in her eyes. Then, she looked at the crowd surrounding her and glanced back at Lu Ming with disdain in her eyes. Lu Ming merely smiled. Suddenly, a bird song erupted from above them, and right after that, an enormous white crane descended. It was far bigger than a normal white crane. When extended, the length of its wings was a terrifying 20 meters. There were 2 people on the white crane. One of them was a middle-aged lady with a golden threaded robe, while the other was a beautiful young maiden. Qiu. Lu Ming's heart was filled with glee upon seeing the young maiden. Gold-robed elder. That's a gold-robed elder. It's really a gold-robed elder. Who's that young lady? How did she manage to catch the gold-robed elder's attention? She's a super genius, I reckon. Who are they here for? The young people around clamored in reverence toward the middle-aged lady. Chapter 27. Making Things Hard on Purpose. Elders were divided into ordinary elders, Sila-Vera-robed elders, and gold-robed elders in the mystical sword sect. Sila-Vera-robed elders were the upper management of the mystical sword sect. They were the strong backbone that held the school together. Gold-robed elders were the mystical sword sect's doyens. They existed as the anchors against the other sections. There were only a few of them, and since they were so powerful, they would make an appearance if something important caught their attention. Otherwise, they would be in closed-door meditation and practice of the martial arts. Standing right in front of everyone's eyes was a gold-robed elder. Everyone at the plaza had their eyes on the 2 people on the white crane. Who were they here for? On the white crane, Xueqi searched the crowd with her eyes, and her gaze finally found Lu Ming. Young lord. She beamed in delight as the white crane descended near Lu Ming. Then, she leaped off it excitedly and ran to his side. All eyes were on Lu Ming at that instant. Not too far away, Lu Yao clearly recognized Xueqi and her face darkened. Why would that filthy maidservant be with a gold-robed elder? Lu Yao's eyes flashed with annoyance and confusion. Xueqi. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face as he asked, Xueqi, did you pass the assessment test? I did. This senior here wants me to join her in Qilin Hall, but I don't want to be at Qilin Hall. I want to be with you in the Vermilion Bird Hall, young lord. Xueqi chirped. Xueqi's actually been invited to join Qilin Hall. Lu Ming's heart leaped with joy, but he hardened his features on purpose and said, Silly girl, some people can't even join Qilin Hall even if they wanted to, and you're just gonna turn it down? Listen to your young lord and go to Qilin Hall. But young lord, I hate to part with you. Xueqi sniffed while her eyes grew teary. Silly girl, we're both at the mystical sword sect. It's not like we won't be able to see each other ever again. Besides, if you train hard enough in Qilin Hall, there'll be chances for us to meet. Also, Xueqi, what's up with your blood meridians? Did they manage to test it? Lu Ming asked as he comforted her. They did, but this senior said that I might have unique blood meridians and told me not to tell anyone else. But young lord, you aren't just anybody else. Xueqi whispered into Lu Ming's ears as she leaned toward him. Unique blood meridians. Her revelation shocked Lu Ming to the core, but he felt intense joy for Xueqi right after the initial shock. Human blood meridians were divided into several kinds, although most of the blood meridians took the form of a living being, be it beasts or plants. Humans had been in cohabitation with all the other beings since the beginning of time, so it was only natural for the blood meridians humans awakened to carry these other beings' forms since human blood was influenced by genetic traits of these other beings. However, some people would awaken blood meridians with peculiar forms such as a sword-shaped blood meridian, a knife-shaped blood meridian, and many more blood meridians shaped like weapons. There were also some others with element-influenced blood meridians like wind, fire, thunder, water, and many more. These were known as the unique blood meridians. Unique blood meridians were extremely rare, and also very, marvelously, unimaginably powerful. For example, those with sword-shaped blood meridians had an innate affinity towards sword-related martial arts, and were able to grasp sword-related martial arts teachings a few times faster than ordinary people. Some even inherited an extremely powerful sword art technique through their sword-shaped blood meridians and were unbeatable. All in all, those with unique blood meridians were usually phenomenal geniuses. It all made sense now. No wonder Xueqi's blood meridians were so difficult to awaken. She possessed unique blood meridians. Xueqi, don't tell anyone else about it from now onwards. Train hard and study well in Qilin Hall, okay? Lu Ming advised as he gently patted her head. Young lord. Xueqi's eyes watered. Go on, train well. I'm gonna spot check you in the future. Lu Ming chuckled. Got it, young lord, don't worry. I'll work hard. Chapter 24. Chapter 24. Mystical Sword City, Wei Ziming. Just like its name, the green-scaled horse was covered in green scales. It had the blood meridian of a demonic beast and was undoubtedly strong as it was able to travel 1,500 kilometers in a single day. More than 10 days later, the weary Lu Ming and Xueqi arrived at the mystical sword city, which was only 25 kilometers away from the mystical sword sect. It was the nearest city to the school and was unbelievably bustling with activity. Both its population and size were over 10 times larger than that of the Fiery Wind City. With merchant groups coming and going from various places in the Blazing Sun Empire, it was a busy area. The main streets were wide enough to fit 10 beast carriages in a row, while the side of the streets was lined with shops. Indeed, it was a lively scene. It was Lu Ming's and Xueqi's first time in such a large city. They were scanning all around them with burning curiosity like two villagers who had just entered the city. After strolling around for half a day, their stomachs started to rumble. The duo found themselves a restaurant and entered the building. The restaurant was 3 stories tall with an elegantly decorated interior. They proceeded to the 3rd floor where almost half of the tables were already occupied. Everyone's eyes sparkled the moment Lu Ming and Xueqi arrived. Lu Ming had a slender build with distinct features. He donned a fitting garb that accentuated his heroic figure. On the other hand, Xueqi had a graceful body and a youthful face. They seemed like a perfect couple when walking together. 2 young men were seated at one of the tables. Out of the 2, one of them wore a brocade garb with a jade belt hanging at his waist. He looked like he was around 18 years old, and he carried the air of a young prince. The other person was around the same age, but he was skinny and was dressed like a servant. The moment the youth in the brocade garb laid his eyes on Lu Ming and Xueqi, his eyes lit up. To be more precise, he was staring at Xueqi with shining eyes. However, his eyes flashed with murderous intent when his eyes shifted to Lu Ming. A fresh flower on a heap of, the young man murmured. Naturally, Lu Ming and Xueqi did not pay any attention to the gazes of the people around them. After they found themselves a table beside a window, they ordered a few dishes as well as a jar of wine and started to chow down. Young master, the mystical sword city sure is crowded, said Xueqi as she looked at Lu Ming's misty eyes. Her cheeks were pink as she lifted her cup and took a sip from it. Lu Ming raised his drink and downed it too. That's right. There are only 2 days left before the Mystical Sword Sect's annual recruitment day. Every young talent in almost 2,000 cities from the eastern side of the Blazing Sun City has come. At that moment, the young man in the brocade garb lifted his cup and approached them with a thin youth behind him. Young lady, my name is Wei Ziming. May I have the honor of knowing your name? I hope that you'll grant me the privilege of drinking with me, he said, raising his cup. However, he did not bother to conceal his gleaming eyes that were scanning every inch of Xueqi's body while completely ignoring Lu Ming. Xueqi instantly felt slightly uncomfortable with the way Wei Ziming was staring at her. She felt a tinge of disgust as she said, I'm sorry. I just drank a moment ago, so I don't feel like it now. Rejected by Xueqi right off the bat, Wei Ziming's face immediately darkened. Wretched girl, what do you mean? My young lord asked you to drink with him because he thinks highly of you. Don't throw away the privilege that's been given to you. The thin youth beside Wei Ziming shouted before he snapped his head towards Lu Ming. Why are you still sitting there, kid? You'd best scram now. My young master wants that seat. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. The two men were really on their high horses. He had not even uttered a word, yet they already wanted him gone. Where did these yapping mutts come from? Lu Ming said in an icy tone as he lifted his cup and took another sip. How dare you speak to me like that, brat? You're courting death. The thin youth yelled with a nasty expression on his face. Lu Ming let out a cry, and immediately, red lights flashed from behind his back as he made his blood meridians explode. A glimpse of a worm-like silhouette flashed before the red light disappeared. Chapter 28. Newbie's Test. Blood meridians? How do you have blood meridians? The blue-robed apprentice cried out in disbelief. According to the news he had gotten, Lu Ming had no blood meridians. Of course, I have blood meridians. How else would I have passed the tests by the Vermilion Bird Hall seniors and get a recommendation? This is something even a pig would understand, but you've made things difficult for me on purpose. Tell me, what's your intention? Are you intentionally oppressing the new apprentices, or are you dumber than a pig? Lu Ming articulated each word with such clarity while his gaze bore into the blue-robed apprentice like a drill. The new apprentices around Lu Ming glowered gingerly at the blue-robed apprentice after hearing what Lu Ming said. These two questions were impossible to answer. The blue-robed apprentice raged. If he admitted that he made things difficult for Lu Ming on purpose, it meant that he was also oppressing the new apprentices on purpose. Then, if the Vermilion Bird Hall saw a drastic dip in the number of new apprentices because of what had happened, he would be in huge trouble. However, if he did not admit it, he would be deemed dumber than a pig. Lu Ming, you. Flushed, the blue-robed apprentice was at a loss for words. Fuck off, you're in the way. Lu Ming reprimanded. The blue-robed apprentice gritted his teeth as he glared at Lu Ming. Just you wait, Lu Ming. I, Ning Feng, won't be so easily fooled. He stormed away after he was done. Lu Ming snickered and entered the training field. There were about 200 people on the wide and spacious training field. Lu Ming walked to the side of the training hall and sat down as he waited quietly. People were still entering the training field. The sky began to darken as a few hours passed. There were almost 1,000 people in the training field by the time people stopped trickling in. Lu Ming could not help but lament about the high prerequisites to become a mystical sword sect apprentice. There were about 50,000 people at the front gate waiting to be assessed, but only about 1,000 of them were in the Vermilion Bird Hall. For the other halls, even if there were more people in the crowd, it would not make that much of a difference. Lu Ming estimated that there would only be around 5,000 new apprentices amongst the 4 halls combined, and that was the better-case scenario, which meant that only 1 out of 10 applicants were accepted into the mystical sword sect. A full-bearded, burly man entered the training field. He let out a huge lion-like roar that left everyone else's ears ringing. Gather round. About 1,000 people scurried to assemble around the full-bearded burly man. With an expressionless face, the burly man introduced himself loudly. I'm Xueqi, an coaching and guidance elder. First of all, welcome to the Vermilion Bird Hall. You should already know that you're just a general apprentice for now. With clenched fists, indeed, all of them knew that when they were first accepted into the mystical sword sect, they would start by just being a general apprentice. However, being associated with the word general did not feel very good. Upon seeing the new apprentice's facial expressions, a satisfied smile appeared on Xueqi's face as he continued. But you'll have a chance to get rid of the word general before your apprentice ranking. 3 days from now, there'll be a test for you together with the new apprentices from the White Tiger Hall, the Azure Dragon Hall, and the Onyx Tortoise Hall. If you pass, you'll be upgraded to become a bronze apprentice, which gives you better treatment, and you'll be able to cultivate at the Vermilion Bird Peak. If you fail, you'll continue to be a general apprentice and suffer in the general living area. Do you have faith in your Slaviers? Yes. All the new apprentices let out a resounding roar and were filled to the brim with fighting spirit and self-confidence. They were all at most 18 years old, and to be accepted into the mystical sword sect from different cities all over Blazing Sun Empire signified that they were all geniuses. Therefore, they were confident that they were one of a kind. Good. Now we'll assign your dorms to you. Rest up, Xueqi said in a loud voice. Surely, where they stayed then was a place for general apprentices at the foot of the Vermilion Bird Peak. They were assigned to a small room each. As soon as Lu Ming entered his room, he went to the Supreme Shrine and started his cultivation. For better treatment and for more time to cultivate, it was crucial for him to be upgraded to the bronze rank in the test 3 days from now. No matter which hall in the mystical sword sect they were, apprentices were divided into a few rankings, which were the general, bronze, and essilavarer. General apprentices were at the lowest tier, and they were tasked with generic and miscellaneous tasks. They were only allowed to cultivate after they had finished the tasks set by the management of the sect. They also had the worst treatment amongst the rest. Bronze apprentices were considered as an official apprentice of the mystical sword sect, and the treatment they were given would be undoubtedly better. Essilavarer apprentices were the elite-level apprentices. They were the cream of the crop, strong, powerful, and recognized. It was said that there was another ranking above essilavarer which were the gold apprentices. However, gold apprentices were another entity of their own, and they were not part of any hall. Each of them was extraordinary geniuses, and they were all allowed to cultivate at the top-secret core area of the entire sect. They were so respected that they were comparable to the hall chiefs. As powerful as they may be, there were only a very scarce number of gold apprentices in the entire mystical sword sect. The gold ranking was very far for Lu Ming at the moment, so he did not put much thought into it. It was imperative for him to first upgrade to become a bronze apprentice. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. On the morning of the 4th day, more than 1,000 of them gathered once more at the training field. Xueqi was right up front as he roared with blazing eyes. Right, 3 days have passed, so the test is officially starting, and it'll be held in the Midnight Hills 100 kilometers away from here. Let me warn you. The Midnight Hills are filled with demonic beasts and they're highly dangerous. It's common to die there, so if you want to opt out, stand up now and I'll proceed with the sect leaving application right away. There was pin-drop silence on the training field as no one stood up. The road of martial arts was not a bed of roses but was one filled with thorns, trials, and danger. Everyone had come mentally prepared the second they embarked on this journey. Furthermore, to opt out meant to leave the mystical sword sect as well. How could they leave after working so hard to be accepted into the mystical sword sect? If they opted out now, it would make them the laughingstock for the rest of their lives. Xueqi's eyes swept over the entire place, and a smile of approval appeared on his face. He said, "All right, since no one's opting out, now follow me. We'll gather with the other halls and head out to the Midnight Hills." When he was done, Xueqi turned around and started running out with all the new apprentices following suit. In a courtyard in the Vermilion Bird Peak, 2 shadows sat facing each other. One of them was Ningfeng, and the other was a smiling young man. "Have you arranged the necessaries, Ningfeng?" the smiley youth asked. A chill flashed across Ningfeng's face as he answered, "Don't worry, brother Duanmu. Lu Ming won't walk out of the test alive." 1. That's good. Most of the Duanmu family apprentices taking part in this test have seen his portrait, so when they meet him in the hills, they will kill him. Ningfeng, young Lord Lin pays a lot of attention to Lu Ming, so if you've done your part well, there will be benefits coming your way, the youth from the Duanmu family grinned as he said. 1. Ningfeng was ecstatic. He cupped his hands and replied, "I'll still need a favor from brother Duanmu to compliment me a little in front of young Lord Lin." "Haha, sure thing." Chapter 29. Attractive Rewards. Lu Ming followed the rest as they made their way out of the sect and headed towards the Midnight Hills. With 1,000 apprentices running on the road at the same time, it caused a constant rumble of dust and dirt along the journey. There was a whopping 100 kilometers between the mystical sword sect and the Midnight Hills. Even though most of them were Blood Meridian's martial artists with a fairly high cultivation level, the 100-kilometer run still got them sweating buckets and panting like dogs. Nevertheless, Lu Ming was still doing okay. Although he was panting a little, he had not reached his limit yet. When the Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices arrived at the Midnight Hills, the people from the White Tiger Hall were already there, and there were 1,500 of them, about 500 more than those from the Vermilion Bird Hall. The White Tiger Hall had grown stronger over the years, and they were unabashedly the strongest of the 4 halls, so they also had the most apprentices who chose to enter the White Tiger Hall. "All right, take a break, everyone," Xueqi hollered. The Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices took their places, sat down, and began their mediation to recover their breath. Rumble. The earth rumbled as the Azure Dragon Hall and the Onyx Turtle Hall arrived soon after. According to Lu Ming's observation, the Azure Dragon Hall had 1,300 people. The Onyx Tortoise Hall had 1,200 people, which left the Vermilion Bird Hall with the least at only 1,000 people. There were 5,000 people combined. Swoosh, swoosh. Air-piercing whistles came from the silhouette of a few people flying towards them at an alarming speed. Yes, they were flying without mounting any flying beasts. "Those are Leader Realm powerhouses," a cry of surprise rang out, and everyone looked enviously towards the sky. Lu Ming also looked at the skies enviously with a tinge of yearning. Who would not yearn to soar like eagles, looking down on mountains and valleys? "I'm gonna reach that place one day." Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. 1. 3 white-haired elderly men in Asilavira robes swooped in at groundbreaking speed, and it only took them 3 breaths to reach above everyone's heads where they remained floating in the air just like that. They were the mystical sword sect's Silavira-robed elders. Upon his arrival, the Silavira-robed elder in the middle spoke in a loud voice. "Now, I'll announce the rules of the test. This time, we've placed metal pieces on some demonic beasts in the Midnight Hills. These metal pieces will have 1, 2, 5, and 10 points carved on them. There are 5,000 1-point pieces distributed amongst 1st grade 1st level to 6th grade 1st level beasts. 2,000 2-point pieces on 7th grade 1st level to 9th grade beast. 400 5-point pieces and 200 10-point pieces on the 1st grade 2nd level to 3rd level beast. You'll need 10 points to pass the test and be upgraded to be a bronze apprentice. You have 20 days before we return to this place to harvest your results." 10 points to pass? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. 10 points might not seem like a lot, but it was extremely difficult to accumulate since demonic beasts had a different strength scale than ordinary beasts. A 1st-level demonic beast was likened to a warrior realm martial artist, while a 2nd-level demonic beast would be likened to the master realm martial artists. Each level was divided into 9 grades and was no different from the martial artist's realm. 5 and 10-point pieces were available from 2nd-level beasts, far beyond the reach of an ordinary newbie. Those with cultivation below the master realm could only get the 1-point and 2-point metal pieces. According to the numbers the Silavira-robed elder gave, they were all snapped up. In total, 5,000 1-point pieces, 2,000 2-point pieces, and including the 5-point and 10-point pieces only added up to 13,000 points. When 13,000 points were divided by 10, that meant, on average, only at most 1,300 apprentices could pass the test. On average, only 1,300 out of 5,000 on average. The competition was undoubtedly fierce. Also, there's gonna be a handsome reward. The first place will get 5,000 sect contribution points and a spirit condensing fruit. 1. The second place will get 4,000 sect contribution points. The third place will get 3,000 sect contribution points. 4th to 10th place will get 1,000 sect contribution points. 11th to 100th place will be rewarded accordingly. Lastly, I might as well tell you that there's actually a 500-point metal piece on some demonic beast that's for you to find. Right then, that's all for the rules. Take a breather and be on your way. Chaos erupted right after the Silavira-robed elder finished his announcement. The chatter was mostly about how attractive the rewards were. The mystical sword sect contribution points were used to exchange anything from pills, spiritual weapons, and martial arts techniques to gems, treasures, and many more. 1 sect contribution point was equivalent to 100 taels of Asilavira. The reward for first place was 5,000 sect contribution points, which was equivalent to 500,000 taels of Asilavira. Who would not want that? Spirit condensing fruit. The fruit was as attractive to Lu Ming as the sect contribution points. To an ordinary martial artist, the normal use of a spirit condensing fruit was to condense essential qi to raise their cultivation. However, it meant more than that to Lu Ming. To cultivate the second stage of the true war dragon technique to achieve essential qi condensation that was twice as thick, a few rare and precious ingredients were needed. One of the most precious ones was the spirit-condensing fruit. 1. I must get that spirit-condensing fruit. Lu Ming's eyes shone like the sun. Apart from him, some of the stronger talents amongst the 5,000 also displayed the same burning desire. You're Lu Ming, aren't you? A clear, crisp voice rang out. There was a girl of about 15 or 16 years old with her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked dashing with her sword on her back, and she wore a body-hugging fencing uniform that showed off her curves in all the right places. Who are you? Lu Ming frowned at the sight of the girl. He did not know her, although she recognized him. Had she also been sent by the Duanmu family? The young lady smiled as if she sensed his hesitation. Lu Ming, my name is Feng Wu. Big sis Mulan sent me to look for you. 1. Mulan. Lu Ming's eyes gleamed. He lowered his guard and asked, How may I help you, Miss Feng Wu? Big sis Mulan sent me to team up with you in case the Duanmu family tries anything funny in the test. What do you say? Shall we work together? Feng Wu replied. Lu Ming gave it some thought and nodded. All right. He had complete trust in Mulan. Besides, he was new to the mystical sword sect, so he was not familiar with the things that were happening. Therefore, Lu Ming thought that as he teamed up with someone else, he could find out more. That's great. There are 3 others in our team. I'll introduce you. Feng Wu smiled. She turned around and walked as Lu Ming followed behind her. 3 young men were leaning on a huge rock. Everyone, let me introduce you to our newest member, Lu Ming. Feng Wu pointed at Lu Ming and introduced him to the 3 young men. She then pointed at the 2 lankier ones and said, Lu Ming, this is Zhou Hao and Zhou Su. Both Zhou Hao and Zhou Su nodded nonchalantly as a form of greeting. Lu Ming, this is Yuan Cheng. Feng Wu pointed to a rather handsome young man and presented him to Lu Ming. Feng Wu, why did you include just anybody in our team? We don't need a laggard, Yuan Cheng jeered as soon as Feng Wu finished. 1. Chapter 30. Feng Wu. Yuan Cheng glared at Lu Ming and taunted him. Feng Wu's face darkened as she remarked, Yuan Cheng, what's with the attitude? Lu Ming is my friend. Friend? Haha, we have a lot of friends, and not everyone can fit into our team. I'd just like to know what level is his cultivation on? Yuan Cheng said coldly. 6th grade warrior realm. Lu Ming replied with a sardonic smile. Ha ha ha, 6th grade warrior realm? Junior Feng Wu, you'd include a 6th grade warrior realm trash into our group? Even our weakest is a 9th grade warrior realm. That piece of grade 6 trash will definitely hold us back. Yuan Cheng laughed scornfully as he mocked Lu Ming. Disdain flashed across the other 2 young men's eyes, but they remained silent. Miss Feng, it looks like I'm not welcomed here. I'll make a move then. Lu Ming cupped his fists towards Feng Wu and walked away. Wait up, Lu Ming. Feng Wu cried as she grasped his hand hurriedly. She glowered at Yuan Cheng, her eyes filled with fury as she growled. Yuan Cheng, that's too much. I warn you, if you ever say something like that again, we'll go our separate ways. Feng Wu, you. Yuan Cheng's face dripped with malice. He did not expect Feng Wu to speak to him like this because of Lu Ming. He looked at Lu Ming with resentment in his eyes, but he did not say anything else. Right after, Feng Wu looked at Lu Ming pleadingly and whispered, Lu Ming, I promised Big Sis Mulan to bring you along. If you leave, how am I gonna face Big Sis Mulan? Speechless, Lu Ming looked at Miss Pretty Girl Feng Wu, who wanted him to stay because she was afraid of Mulan. Let's follow them for the time being, gather some news and we'll look for opportunities to leave. Lu Ming thought about it and nodded. Okay then, we'll team up. That's great. Happiness was evident on Feng Wu's face. Yuan Cheng's face darkened further as he saw Feng Wu and Lu Ming whispering amongst themselves. There were already people who went into the Midnight Hills. Some formed groups of 3s, while some were in groups of 5s. There were also some solo rangers who disappeared into the Midnight Hills. Let's go too then, Feng Wu announced. She was clearly the pack leader. The 5 of them hurried into the Midnight Hills. The Midnight Hills had a perimeter range of thousands of kilometers. It was a forest filled with sky-high trees and demonic beasts as beastly roars could be heard regularly. The outer 15 kilometers of the Midnight Hills are filled with ordinary beasts instead of demonic beasts. If we want points, we've got to go in beyond the 15-kilometer range, Fengwu said to them. Everyone nodded and made their way fleetingly into the deeper parts of the Midnight Hills. Yuan Chong sprinted at full speed with a taunting smile on his face as he thought, "Let's see how you catch up with me, you trash." His smirk was wiped off his expression right away as soon as he saw Lu Ming cover a 0.6-meter distance in a single step. Lu Ming ran beside Zhou Hao and Zhou Su without breaking a sweat. This trash has pretty good techniques, Yuan Chong thought to himself foully. In their pack, Yuan Chong and Feng Wu both were in first-grade Master Realm while Zhou Hao and Zhou Su were in 9th-grade Warrior Realm. Yuan Chong could have gone faster, but Zhou Hao and Zhou Su would have been left behind. What he did not know was that Lu Ming was only at 50% of his speed. At the 5th stage of comprehension and practice, perfect divine-like usage of dragon serpent steps meant that each step Lu Ming took could cover a distance of 1.5 meters. 1. After an hour, the 5 of them were 15 kilometers deep into the Midnight Hills and they slowed down to watch out for the appearance of demonic beasts. Roar! A ferocious black panther leaped towards Zhou Hao from within the bushes with its claws gleamingly sharp like knives, ready to kill. Wrong target. Zhou Hao bellowed as he threw a punch that collided with the Black Panther's claws. Boom! The Black Panther flew backward and slammed heavily on the ground. It rolled for several rounds before it ran away as fast as it could. Metal Black Panther, a mere 6th-grade first-level demonic beast. Let it go, Zhou Hao. It has no metal pieces on it, Feng Wu cried. Zhou Hao wanted to go for it but stopped after he heard what Feng Wu said. Our mission is to earn points, so we'll avoid those without metal pieces to save time and energy, Feng Wu continued. The rest nodded and continued on their journey, only to stop after a short while. Feng Wu frowned as her gaze swept the area and commented, "Someone's following us." "I've realized that too," said Yuan Chong. Lu Ming frowned because he felt a looming intent to kill him from the beginning. "Who is it? Come out now," Feng Wu ordered. "Haha, junior sister Feng, you have such sharp senses." A humorless laugh rang from the left as 2 young men appeared. Wei Ziming. Recognition flashed in Lu Ming's eyes as he recognized Wei Ziming, the person he had slapped at the restaurant in the mystical Sword City. Wei Ziming stared venomously at Lu Ming, and beside him was someone that looked like Wei Ziming but younger. "Was it you, Wei Zio? Why were you following us?" Feng Wu snapped. He was Wei Zio, Wei Ziming's younger brother. It was common for the more famous geniuses to know each other. "Junior sister Feng, senior brother Yuan Chong, this is none of your business. I'm only here for him, Lu Ming." Wei Zio smiled and pointed. Feng Wu's face darkened. "What do you want with Lu Ming?" "Nothing much. He just slapped my brother twice a few days ago, so I'm just here to destroy both his hands." "You'd better not get yourself invo-levered, Junior Feng," Wei Zio replied. "One. But I will get myself invo-levered because Lu Ming's my teammate now," Feng Wu insisted. "Feng Wu, I'd say, you'd better mind your own business." At that moment, a voice rang from the right side, and another 2 young men appeared. They did not hide their cultivation level as they both released the energy from the 9th-grade warrior realm. Even if it was just the 9th-grade warrior realm, it caused a drastic change in Feng Wu's expression. "You're from the Duanmu clan. What are you guys doing here?" she shrieked. It was easy to recognize people from the Duanmu clan since all of them had a tree symbol sewn on their sleeves. "We're here for Lu Ming, of course. His life is ours now," one of the Duanmus replied with a faint smile. "Are you going to kill Lu Ming?" Feng Wu's complexion paled. How many people had Lu Ming offended? It was no wonder that Mu Lan wanted her to protect Lu Ming. At the side, Yuan Chong smiled gleefully. Lu Ming really had a death wish when he offended the Duanmu clan. "Duanmu clan, Wei Zio, you both came like the rushing wind indeed." Lu Ming surveyed his surroundings, looking for a place to break out. He refused to sit around and wait for them to kill him. Chapter 31. Ambush. "Haha, it seems there's no need for me to make a move, Lu Ming." Wei Zio snorted. That won't do. Nobody will be taking Lu Ming away today, Feng Wu said resolutely. Her announcement shocked everyone around her. The faces of the two youths from the Duanmu family darkened. Feng Wu, do you really want to go against the Duanmu family? Our rage isn't something that you can handle. Junior sister Feng Wu, it isn't sensible to cross the Duanmu family and the Wei brothers just for the mere Lu Ming. I think we should keep our hands to our slaviers. Yuan Chong quickly chimed in from the side. Silence. Anyone who wants to go for Lu Ming will have to go through my blade first. Clink. A swathe of razor-sharp sword chi shot out from Feng Wu's sword as she unsheathed her blade. Immediately, a boulder that was around the size of a man was sliced in half. She emanated the aura of Master Realm. The faces of Wei Ziming, Wei Zio, and the two youths from the Duanmu family, as well as Yuan Chong, darkened. Yuan Chong, in particular, was greatly affected. He was gritting his teeth together. The eyes of Wei Zio and the two Duanmu family members lit up. While Lu Ming was an easy target for them, it would be difficult to deal with Feng Wu. Although Wei Zio had cultivated to the 1st grade Master Realm, the two youths from the Duanmu family were only on the 9th grade Warrior Realm, so the two youths from the Duanmu family ultimately decided to step down. Feng Wu, do you really think that you'll be able to keep Lu Ming safe? Let's see how you handle yourself when my family sends even stronger people over. Humph. Wei Zio sneered. With a twist of his body, he retreated together with Wei Ziming. 1. Rest assured, Lu Ming. The Midnight Hills stretches on for over 500 kilometers. The Duanmu family won't be able to find us as long as we're careful, Feng Wu said as she walked up beside Lu Ming. Thank you very much. Lu Ming smiled feebly. To be honest, Lu Ming was confident that he would be able to wriggle out of the crisis even without Feng Wu. He was able to travel over 3 meters in a single step using the Dragon Serpent steps. He believed that even an ace in 1st grade Master Realm would not be able to catch up. 1. However, Lu Ming was still thankful that Feng Wu stood firmly on his side despite the current situation. There's no need to be courteous with me. Let's continue the journey, Feng Wu said as she turned around. She shot a glare at Yuan Chong and walked forwards with large strides. Wu Feng then proceeded to take the lead. She changed directions after a certain distance to stop the Duanmu family and Wei Ziming from catching up. They had traveled over 50 kilometers in the woods by the evening. During their journey, they encountered a few demonic beasts that had several metal plates with points on them, and they successfully obtained a few pieces of metal tablets. The metal tablets were light and thin. 2 of the tables were etched with the number 1 on top, while the other had the number 2 etched on it. They had 2 plates worth a point, and another worth 2. The night quickly arrived. They started a fire and caught a demonic beast to cook as food. The Midnight Hills was even more precarious during the night. The demonic beasts that appeared were even more ferocious, so they decided to rest for the night and continue the search for metal tablets during the day. After they finished their meals and extinguished the fire, they found a secluded corner and meditated while resting respectively. The night passed without a single word being uttered. On the 2nd day, they continued their search for demonic beasts with metal tablets on them. However, within the Midnight Hills territory which spanned over 500 kilometers, there were countless demonic beasts while there were only around 7,000 demonic beasts that held metal tablets. It was hard to find them within the vast confines of the forest. 3 days soon passed just like that. In those 3 days, the 5 of them had managed to find 6 tablets worth 1 point and 3 tablets worth 2 points. The points totaled to Tulavir, which was only enough for 1 person to pass. As the sky was nearly plunged into darkness on the 3rd day, they found a silent shadow wolf. Lu Ming, keep your sword away and get the fuck off the battle stage, First Branch Elder yelled. Shut up, bitch, and you, Lu Yunxiong. Who gave you the right to speak? Lu Ming snarled at them with an overwhelming intent to kill. With a flick of his sword, he drew a bloody fine line on Lu Yao's neck. Lu Yao's face paled immediately. How dare you hurt her? Lu Yao is engaged to Duanmu Lin, the genius of White Tiger Hall. Do you have a death wish? Duanmu Qing yelled. Lu Ming did not spare him a glance and instead turned to the 7 core elders. Fellow elders, do you want to know why I can't awaken my blood meridian? Lu Ming asked. Why can't he awake his blood meridian? Many gawked. If one had failed to awaken their blood meridians, what else could it be? Was it not a personal problem? Was there something they did not know about? Speak, Lu Ming. Is there anything we should know? The oldest of the 7 core elders spoke. Lu Ming, don't talk nonsense. First branch elder exclaimed before Lu Ming said anything. Shut up, Lu Yunxiong, the oldest of the core elders ordered. First branch elder stopped talking with a grimace. That's because this shining star and this first branch elder over here pretended to be nice to me, and fed me Yama pollen for 3 years. He fed my blood meridians with my own blood for 3 years. That's why I failed to awaken my blood meridians. Then, they robbed me of my blood meridians and combined it with Lu Yao's. Why did you think you could awaken a 5th level blood meridian, Lu Yao? What enabled you to do so? Lu Ming recounted calmly. Whatever Lu Ming said caused a huge uproar and everyone was shocked beyond words. Many knew that Lu Ming went through a meridians test and was said to have inherited his father's blood meridians, and it could be awakened. It somehow failed to be awakened later on and something was not quite right about it. The truth was out, and it had cleared up a lot of things. Bastards, filthy animals, how could you do this to Ming'er? Li Ping was the first to react. She shrieked as she stared deadly at First Branch Elder and Lu Yao with her bloodshot eyes. Her body trembled in fury. Tears flowed freely from Li Ping's eyes. She had no clue that the injuries on Lu Ming 2 months ago were a result of his blood meridians being stripped off him. How agonizing it must have been for Lu Ming to have his blood meridians forcefully taken from him. Is this for real? Storms were brewing in the eyes of all 7 core elders and their faces darkened. Lu Ming, you liar, you're a piece of useless junk. Don't blame us, you imbecile, shameless fool. Fellow elders, Lu Ming's hopeless. His character is unsalvageable. I suggest having him kicked out of the Lu family. First branch elder bellowed. His eyes flickered maliciously. That's right, Lu Ming. Do you think anyone would believe in your lies? Lu Yao added coldly. Haha, a test would immediately reveal if what I said about feeding blood meridians with my blood for 3 years is true. Lu Yao, do you have the guts to be tested? Lu Ming stared intently at Lu Yao. Lu Yao's face paled, and the first branch elder's face looked venomous. Chapter 32. Completed Blood Meridian. In an instant, the 3 of them clashed against each other. Ding! Ding! The blades glimmered in the air as they crossed against each other. Sparks were flying everywhere amidst the intense sounds. Both of the youths from the Duanmu family cultivated inferior yellow-level sword techniques. They had only cultivated to the outstanding dexterity stage and were far below Lu Ming's proficiency in sword arts. However, their individual cultivation was higher than Lu Ming's by a whole 3 grades. They had the upper hand for a moment as they teamed up together. I'll end the injured one first. Lu Ming's eyes flashed like lightning, and an endless stream of the lustrous sword technique swarmed the injured youth. How can he be so strong? He boasts such combat power even though he's merely on the 6th grade warrior realm. Such a person cannot live. He must be killed. The 2 youths from the Duanmu family were astonished as Lu Ming's power exceeded their expectations. Roar! Roar! The roars of 2 beasts rang out. A bloody red glow emanated from the backs of the Duanmu family's 2 youths as 2 Black Panthers appeared. There were 3 red-colored meridian focal points on the bodies of the Black Panthers. It was evident that the youth's blood meridians were 3rd-level blood meridians. The 2 Black Panthers then pounced on the respective youths' bodies. In that instant, black glows drifted out from their body as their chi increased dramatically. It was an eruption of the blood meridian. The eruption of their blood meridians increased the 2 youths' speed by 30%. Blood meridians always had an affinity towards a certain attribute. Some blood meridians would have a higher affinity to defense while others would have a higher affinity to offend, as well as increased speed. The attribute that had the affinity would get a boost when a blood meridian erupted. Normally, a 1st-level blood meridian's eruption would boost an attribute by 1/10. A 2nd-level blood meridian's eruption would boost an attribute by 2/10. With that logic, an attribute would increase by 90% when a 9th-level blood meridian erupted, which was nearly twofold. The blood meridians of the Duanmu family's youth were partial to speed, which increased by 3/10 after their blood meridians erupted. No matter which attribute was boosted, it also implied the increase in combat power. Naturally, some higher-grade blood meridians would have an affinity for several attributes, which would also mean that those attributes would be boosted in tandem with each other. Several attributes being boosted at one time would signify an even more terrifying increase in combat power. After their blood meridians erupted, the combat power of the Duanmu family's youths increased significantly as they started to crush Lu Ming. That's a pity. I can't make my blood meridian erupt because it hasn't completely grown yet. I guess that's my weakness. Lu Ming pondered as he battled against the duo with all his might. Swoosh! Swoosh! In that instant, someone arrived with a swooshing sound once again. Haha, time to die, Lu Ming. It was Wei Ziming and Wei Zio. Swish! Wei Zio swung his sword before he even arrived. A flash of green sword chi burst out from his blade. It was a remote manifestation of sword chi which was unbelievably sharp as it was aimed at Lu Ming with the intention to maim. Danger! In that instant, Lu Ming was enveloped with an urgent sense of danger as every strand of hair on him stood on their ends. The sword chi of a master realm was not something that he could withstand right now. He wanted to dodge it but was firmly stopped by the Duanmu family's youths. Zing! At that moment, a sharp sound sounded from the opposite direction. There was another slash of sword chi flying towards Lu Ming. There was another Master Realm martial artist who wanted Lu Ming dead. Two Master Realm martial artists were teaming up together, and two youths in 9th grade warrior realm were blocking Lu Ming's way. They were driving him into a corner, putting him in a precarious situation. I'll enter the Supreme Shrine. If he was not able to withstand it, he could only take shelter in the Supreme Shrine. Although it may ultimately result in the Supreme Shrine being exposed, it was better than getting killed. However, his expression immediately changed as he realized that he could no longer enter the Supreme Shrine as it did not react to him in his mind. Could it be that I can't enter the Supreme Shrine while in battle? Am I going to die here? No, I can't let myself die. Lu Ming screamed in his mind. In that instant, his mind was hyper-focused as his blood boiled. He wanted to find a Silavira lining in that hopeless situation. Suddenly, an intense itch spread as a red beam shot up from his spine. At the same time, a peculiar whoosh of energy surged from his spine into his entire body. This is the power of a blood meridian. My blood meridian has finally finished growing. Blood meridian eruption. 2. Without any time to think things through, Lu Ming immediately made his blood meridian erupt. A black glow started to spread across his body. Zing! Zing! It was at that moment that the two sword chi slashed across Lu Ming's body. Two sharp energies penetrated his body the moment the sword chi hit him. An intense round of pain spread all over him as a mouthful of blood spurted from his mouth. The sword chi's power seemed to have diminished by half. Lu Ming could instantly sense that the power of the sword chi that landed on him was levered. If it were in full power, there was no chance that he could have handled it. Could it be because of my blood meridian? He racked his brains for a second, but there was no time for second thoughts. Lu Ming took a step forward and darted towards the wounded youth from the Duanmu family like a gust of wind. The youth from the Duanmu family did not expect Lu Ming to be still alive after being hit by the sword chi from the two Master Realm martial artists. He wanted to defend himself, but it was too late. Poof! A sword slid across the youth's throat like a bolt of light as blood squirted everywhere. Lu Ming's figure darted ahead in a flash as he used the dragon serpent steps. Lu Ming, how dare you kill a disciple from the Duanmu family? You're courting death. Someone screamed in a frenzy. Lu Ming took a hurried glance and saw who the furious yell came from. It was one of the Master Realm martial artists that had made a move. With rosewood patterns sewn onto the hems of his sleeves, he was evidently a young disciple of the Duanmu family. Duanmu family, I swear that I will eventually raze you to the ground. The murderous impulse within Lu Ming was thick as he flitted onwards while forcefully bracing against his own injuries. Follow him. Behind Lu Ming, Wei Zio and the martial master from the Duanmu family were in hot pursuit. However, Lu Ming had cultivated the dragon serpent steps to the 5th stage, so he could traverse over 3 meters in a single step at a speed that outmatched even a first-grade Master Realm. Wei Zio and the other person had no chance of catching up with Lu Ming. After half an hour, Lu Ming managed to throw them off his scent. Then, He found a cave and darted into it. Huff, huff. He gasped for air as he sat in the cave. His body was pulsing with pain. Although he had blocked the sword chi from the two Master Realm martial artists, the injuries that he had sustained were not light. Let's see if I can enter the Supreme Shrine now. At the thought of that, Lu Ming's body disappeared and reappeared in the Supreme Shrine. Could it be that I can't enter the Supreme Shrine when in battle or in danger? Why is that? Unable to figure it out, Lu Ming was rendered speechless. It seemed that it would be impossible to hide from danger in the Supreme Shrine. He needed to rely on himself. Let's focus on nursing my injuries. Lu Ming started to nurse his wounds as he sat on his knees and started to recite the true War Dragon technique. Soon, he recovered from his injuries after 3 days. Buzz! Lu Ming's mind entered his spine. There was a radiant beam of red with a black worm the size of a finger that manifested within the light. The worm was limbless, but it shone with a brilliant black as if it was made from powdered black jade. Is this my blood meridian? Why isn't there even a single meridian focal point? Lu Ming was speechless. Chapter 33. Unbelievable Blood Meridian Ability. Blood meridians were categorized into 9 levels, and each level had its own number of meridian focal points. A first-level blood meridian would have a single meridian focal points while a second-level blood meridian would have 2. The amount would increase based on the level. However, there was not even a single meridian focal point on Lu Ming's blood meridian. Could it be a 0-level blood meridian? Nobody had ever heard of such a thing before. Furthermore, Lu Ming had tested it before. His blood meridian's absorption rate of the spirit energy around him was comparable to that of a 4th-level blood meridian. I also shaved off half of the sword chi when my blood meridian erupted. Could my blood meridian have a special skill? Lu Ming pondered as his eyes flashed with excitement. This skill was truly terrifying if it could really block half of someone's attack. Lu Ming could not wait to test it out. At that moment, he exited the Supreme Shrine and entered the woods in search of demonic beasts. It was not long before he found one. The Flame Wolf was a demonic beast on 7th grade 1st level. With the ability to spit fireballs, it boasted great strength. Roar! The Flame Wolf opened its gaping mouth and roared when it noticed Lu Ming. A fireball gathered and flew towards Lu Ming. It's time to test the power of my blood meridian when it erupts. At the thought of that, a fountain of power surged from Lu Ming's spine into his body. His body started to shine a brilliant dark hue that emanated a devouring aura. Lu Ming did not dodge but allowed the fireball to land on him instead. In that instant, he could clearly feel the power of the fireball being continuously consumed by the dark shine of his body until only half of its power remained. He took a step back and avoided the remaining half of the fireball. So apparently, the attack wasn't blocked, but rather it was devoured. Half of its power was devoured. Shock flashed across Lu Ming's eyes. At that instant, the power from the blood meridian within Lu Ming's body disappeared without a trace. For real? It's only been a single breath. It deactivated too quickly. He was speechless. It was then that the Flame Wolf shot another ball of flame out. However, Lu Ming was unable to make his blood meridian erupt another time despite trying to do so. He understood that it was because the strength of his blood meridian was depleted and needed time to slowly recover. However, wasn't the duration too short? He was aware that the average warrior realm martial artist could hold an erupted blood meridian for approximately 1 minute. The strength of the blood meridian would be depleted after approximately a minute and required time to recover. The power of the blood meridian would increase in Master Realm, allowing it to erupt for approximately 2 minutes. The duration would increase with the growth of cultivation from there on. However, Lu Ming could only erupt his blood meridian for the span of a single breath. An average breath would only take 2 seconds. That was a whopping 30-fold difference compared to others. It seemed that although the ability to block half of an attack's power was seemingly overpowered, it could only be used at a crucial moment. Also, how strong of an attack would it be able to withstand? Everything had its limits, and Lu Ming did not believe that his blood meridian would be able to withstand an attack from someone several leagues above him. He needed to find out about all this. No matter what the outcome was, Lu Ming was still satisfied. This skill would be able to turn the tables in a crucial moment, so it could definitely be used as a trump card. Bam! He took a step with the dragon serpent steps and evaded the flame wolf's attack before retaliating with one attack himself. Poof! A blade pierced the flame wolf's heart, and it thrashed around as it took its last breath. I wonder how long it'll take before my blood meridian fully recovers. His black worm-shaped blood meridian manifested as he thought about it, but Lu Ming wanted to observe a little while longer. It was at that moment that something peculiar happened. The black worm-shaped blood meridian suddenly widened its mouth towards the flame wolf's corpse and created a strong suction. 9 droplets of blood essence darted out from the flame wolf's wound and were swallowed by the worm-shaped blood meridian in one go. At the very next moment, an immense power surged from Lu Ming's spine. The power melded together with Lu Ming's essential qi, causing his cultivation to spike erratically. He instantly ascended from beginner of 6th grade warrior realm to peak beginner of 6th grade warrior realm. 1. Buzz. A pale red meridian focal point then appeared on the black worm-shaped blood meridian. It shone ever so brilliantly in Lu Ming's eyes. Lu Ming was stunned. He took a moment before he reacted. My blood meridian can devour the blood essence of demonic beasts and convert it into essential qi? And on top of that, my blood meridian can increase in levels? Lu Ming was murmuring to himself as his eyes shone brilliantly. His heart was wild with joy. It was already unbelievable that blood essence could be devoured and converted into essential qi. However, level advancement was unheard of. Everyone knew that a blood meridian's level was fixed. Bar the exceptions of peculiar cases, a blood meridian was normally unable to advance levels. However, his blood meridian had broken all the rules by being able to advance levels. Lu Ming could distinctly sense that the blood essence he consumed from the flame wolf just now was divided into 2. One half was converted into essential qi, while the other half was absorbed by his blood meridian. It was because of that caused an improvement in both essential qi and blood meridian. If he continued on with devouring blood essence from demonic beasts, would the level of his blood meridian continuously advance? Advancement to the 5th level, the 6th level, the 8th level and 9th level, or even surpassing that. It was not impossible. Lu Yao's 5th level blood meridian was nothing. Ha ha ha! Lu Ming broke into a loud guffaw. Time to hunt some demonic beasts. Lu Ming could not wait to hunt for some demonic beasts and begin testing. It was not long before Lu Ming found another demonic beast in the 8th grade 1st level. Furthermore, there was a metal tablet worth 2 points on the demonic beast. Lu Ming defeated the beast and kept the metal tablet. He circulated his blood meridian and once again extracted 9 droplets of blood essence from the demonic beast. Blood essence was the soul's accumulation of a living being and contained a massive amount of energy. Legends told that no matter human or beast, there were only 9 drops of blood essence in a single body. The blood essence was once again divided into 2 after it being consumed by the dark worm-shaped blood meridian. One half was converted to Lu Ming's essential qi. In that instant, Lu Ming made a breakthrough in his cultivation and reached mid-6th grade warrior realm. 1. As for the blood-red meridian focal points on the blood meridian, although it did not level up, its color was a shade deeper. Surely enough, the blood essence of a demonic beast on the 8th grade 1st level had a stronger effect than that of a demonic beast on the 7th grade. Let's call you the spirit-devouring worm. I'm coming after you, Duanmu family. Time to continue. Lu Ming dubbed the dark worm-shaped blood meridian the spirit-devouring worm. Then, he proceeded to hunt down demonic beasts within the Midnight Hills in a frenzy and absorb their blood essence. His cultivation increased at an insane pace. In just over one day, his cultivation ascended to the 7th grade warrior realm, successfully breaking through to the peak top of 8th grade warrior realm after 3 days. Surely enough, the level of his blood meridian had increased during that moment. Another meridian focal point appeared as it turned into a 2nd level blood meridian. After relentlessly hunting demonic beasts for 3 days, Lu Ming finally figured out a part of the countless mysteries his blood meridians held. The first thing was that there was a cap for the blood meridian skill to absorb half the power of an attack. He discovered that it only worked against demonic beasts that were 5 grades above him, at most. It was ineffective against anything more than 5 grades. For example, if Lu Ming was in 1st grade warrior realm, it would only work against someone below the 6th grade warrior realm. It would be rendered completely useless if he met someone on the 7th grade warrior realm or above. The eruption of the blood meridian initially only lasted for the span of a single breath. It would take 3 hours after erupting before it could be used again. However, there was a change after the blood meridian advanced by a level. For every level that the blood meridian advanced, the duration of its eruption would increase by another breath span. The duration of Lu Ming's blood meridian eruption had increased to 3 breath spans when his blood meridian advanced to the 2nd level. Similarly, the time that was required for the strength of his blood meridian to recover was reduced slightly. All this motivated Lu Ming even more. Chapter 34. Successive Breakthroughs and a Comeback. While Lu Ming was traversing through the woods, there was a sudden change in his expression as he murmured, "It's like we're 2 bad pennies, but you've come at the right time." Swoosh, swoosh. At that moment, several sounds pierced the silence around Lu Ming as figures appeared from the sides, his front, back, and left flank. Wei Ziyou and Wei Ziming stood in front of Lu Ming while there were 4 members of the Duanmu family behind him. Apart from the young martial artist of Master Realm, there were another 3 youths. To his left, there was a youth donned in a brocade garb who was emanating a strong aura. He was a Master Realm expert. The moment they spotted Lu Ming, the people from these 3 sides formed a circle with him in the middle. 3 of them were in 1st grade Master Realm while the other 3 were on the 9th grade Warrior Realm. Wei Ziming could be dismissed as a non-factor. "Let's see where you can run to now, Lu Ming," Wei Ziming said as he glared at Lu Ming. Lu Ming casually glanced at Wei Ziming. "You piece of trash, have a duel with me if you've got what it takes." He laughed. "You're a dead man walking, Lu Ming. I shan't bother to have a dispute with a dead man." Wei Ziming snarled. "Lu Ming, you dare to kill a disciple of my family, the Duanmu family. You're courting death." The young Master Realm martial artist from the Duanmu family insulted. "I'm courting death? Your family wanted me dead first. The way you put it, I guess I can only die without retaliating, huh?" Lu Ming said. "That's right. My Duanmu family wants you dead, so there's nothing you can do except to accept your fate. How could a lowly scum like you compare to the lives of the Duanmu family's disciples?" The Duanmu family's youth scoffed. He was confident, arrogant, and unreasonable. Hee hee. Lu Ming smiled. He did not bother to squabble with someone like him. "And what about you? I don't think I know you. Are you someone from the Duanmu family as well?" he said as he shifted his gaze towards the youth in the brocade garb. "Haha, Lu Ming, since you're about to meet your end, I'll let you in on this. Senior brother Ning Feng sent me. You're as bold as brass to offend senior brother Ning Feng when you've just joined. Are you tired of living?" The youth in the brocade garb smiled. "All right, stop spouting nonsense with him. Let's kill him now. I don't have the time to squabble with him." He was Duanmu Fei. As he finished speaking in an icy tone, he charged towards Lu Ming in a frenzy. A green sword chi pierced through the air with a sharp whistle. Wei Ziyou and the youth in the brocade garb did not make a move, as they thought that one person was enough to deal with Lu Ming. Lu Ming stomped his feet on the group as Duanmu Fei's sword chi was about to land on him. He used the dragon serpent steps and dodged the sword chi before darting away like a bolt of lightning. His target was the youth of the Duanmu family who was in 9th grade Warrior Realm. Clang! His blade whistled as a beam of sword chi was sent flying. With Lu Ming's cultivation at top 8th grade Warrior Realm, the youth from the Duanmu family was unable to avoid Lu Ming's sword chi even if he was on full alert. Poof! The blade directly pierced the youth's heart. It was a kill in a single blow. Devour! With a single thought from Lu Ming's mind, a strong pull gravitated from his palms, pulling out 9 droplets of blood essence from his opponent's wound. It traveled across Lu Ming's arm and was devoured by the spirit-devouring worm. This was the method of using the spirit-devouring worm that Lu Ming had figured out over these few days. He could apply the devouring aura on his hands and silently absorb the blood essence of others. "Ah! Lu Ming, you're looking for death!" Duanmu Fei bellowed furiously as he charged towards Lu Ming. An icy smile formed on Lu Ming's lips. He did not go head-on against Duanmu Fei, and he used the dragon serpent steps to charge towards another youth who was in 9th grade Warrior Realm. With the spirit-devouring worm continuously refining the blood essence at the same time, a surge of energy poured into Lu Ming's body. The energy contained within the blood essence of someone in 9th grade warrior realm was immense, allowing Lu Ming to increase his cultivation at a mind-boggling speed. His cultivation was already at top 8th grade warrior realm, but it constantly closed the distance to 9th grade warrior realm. Swoosh! Although the youth from the Duanmu family tried his best to avoid it, his speed was incomparable to Lu Ming's. He was instantly killed with a flash of the blade. Lu Ming absorbed his blood essence at the same time. Crash! With the surging essential qi from the blood essence of the two 9th grade warrior realm experts, Lu Ming finally broke free from his shackles and made another breakthrough. His cultivation reached the 9th grade warrior realm instantly. Damn it! What are you two waiting for? Start making a move together and destroy Lu Ming. Duanmu Fei howled. Within these few days, a total of 3 people on the 9th grade warrior realm from the Duanmu family had fallen to the hands of Lu Ming. Youngsters who were in the 9th grade warrior realm below the age of 18 were considered elites, even in the Duanmu family. After the 3 of them died in one go, he had no idea how to explain it to the seniors of the Duanmu family when he returned. That was why he loathed Lu Ming from the bottom of his heart. Kill him. End him. Wei Zio and the youth in brocade screamed as they charged towards Lu Ming. Since Lu Ming killed 2 experts on the 9th grade warrior realm in one go, his prowess had exceeded their expectations. Their dignity was the last thing on their minds as they formed an alliance. Duanmu Fei and Wei Zio sent a flash of sword chi flying while youth in the brocade garb unleashed a golden palm. A sharp whistling sound could be heard as they teamed up and charged towards Lu Ming. Haha, a brilliant move. Let's see how strong Master Realm is. Lu Ming chuckled. His confidence skyrocketed as his cultivation broke through to the 9th grade warrior realm. Bam! Lu Ming darted towards Duanmu Fei with a twist of his body without caring about the attacks from Wei Zio and the youth in the brocade garb coming from behind him. Die! The trio's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Blood Meridian Eruption. At that moment, Lu Ming's blood meridian erupted as a layer of dark light glistened brilliantly. It was also the same moment that the attacks from Wei Zio and the others landed on Lu Ming's body. However, they were bewildered when they did not see Lu Ming die. His body merely swayed for a moment, but the sword in his hand did not stop. It darted out like a surge of lightning and pierced through Duanmu Fei's heart. Not even in his wildest dreams did Duanmu Fei expect Lu Ming to survive attacks from 3 people, and even manage to make a counterattack. He was unable to dodge in time even if he wanted to. Lu Ming pierced his heart in a poof. His sight turned black as he fell heavily onto the floor. Duanmu Fei died. 1. There's still 2 breaths left. Lu Ming's mind was spinning as he sliced his sword towards the youth in the brocade garb. Die! The youth in the brocade garb almost lost his nerves when he witnessed Duanmu Fei's death. He then unleashed 2 consecutive strikes from his palm. However, Lu Ming recklessly allowed the strikes to land on his body. Without even pausing for a moment, the blade in his hand sliced through the throat of the youth in the brocade garb. Blood went spurting everywhere from the clean slice across the youth's throat. His hands grasped at his neck as his eyes were wide with mixed emotions, including dissatisfaction, pleading, and hate. Retreat! Hurry! Wei Zio howled in terror from the side. When Lu Ming successively killed 2 experts in Master Realm, Wei Zio lost his courage and fled in horror. Don't you think it's too late to leave now? An icy smile hung on Lu Ming's face as he pursued Wei Zio with a twist of his body. Chapter 35. Ascension to 3rd level Blood Meridian. As Lu Ming traversed over 16 meters in a single step using the Dragon Serpent Steps, Wei Zio had no chance of escaping. Hardly had over 10 breaths passed before Lu Ming was right behind Wei Zio. I'm going all out, Wei Zio yelled. His blood meridian erupted as he turned around and charged towards Lu Ming. He understood that begging for his life or even throwing threats was useless. He could tell that Lu Ming's moves were cruel, firm, and concise from the way he made a move just now. Even a talented disciple from the Duanmu family had been killed just like that. He was unbelievably bold and would definitely not fear the Wei family. Clang! Clang! Their blades clashed against each other as they faced each other in a magnificent battle. The eruption of Lu Ming's blood meridian had ended well before that moment. However, with the help of the true war dragon technique and the fourth stage of the lustrous sword art, he towered over Wei Zio. Wei Zio's sword technique was merely an inferior yellow-level sword technique that was in the fourth stage. Their blades clashed as they waged war for over tens of moves. Lu Ming's sword technique grew in speed until he finally pierced Wei Zio's heart with a stab. Wei Zio lost in a head-on battle, and losing spelled his death. 1. Lu Ming then looked somewhere else with a sneer and went in pursuit of that direction. Fleeing for his life, Wei Ziming wanted nothing more than to grow another pair of legs at that moment. How can he be so strong? How? He even butchered Master Realm martial artists. Little brother is no match for him even if he was stronger. I must flee and ask father to send powerhouses to kill Lu Ming. Wei Ziming growled as he was making a run for it. Are you still thinking about killing me at a time like this? Suddenly, a voice rang out beside Wei Ziming. Ah! Wei Ziming screamed in fright. He turned his head around to see Lu Ming leering at him, and he felt chilled to the bone. Wei Ziming dared not continue his escape. He stopped in his tracks and kneeled in a heartbeat as he began to plead. Lu Ming, spare me. I'm begging you. This gave Lu Ming a slight surprise. It turned out that Wei Ziming was weak-willed, a completely different person from Wei Zio. I've already killed Wei Zio. Do you think I'll let you off? Lu Ming smiled feebly. Lu Ming, no, brother Ming, don't worry. I won't utter a word about what happened today. Also, you've killed Wei Zio, so that's great. He was more talented than I am. I lived in his shadow and always wanted him dead. Now that he's gone, nobody will contest my position as the Lord of the Guardian Fire City. Wei Ziming begged pleadingly as tears and snot slid down his face. However, his mind was a howling fury. If he lived to tell the tale, he would definitely return Lu Ming the favor back by tenfold or even 100-fold. If I don't kill you, aren't I just waiting for your revenge? Do you think I'm that stupid? Lu Ming smiled. No, Wei Ziming yelped. He tried to get up and take off, but his head flew into the distance at the flash of a blade. One of them got away. What a pity. Lu Ming murmured. There was still a youth from the Duanmu family who was in the 9th grade warrior realm. He turned around with all his might and was so quick that it was impossible to catch up with him. PFFF. Lu Ming's body swayed as a mouthful of fresh blood suddenly spurted out from his mouth. The attacks of martial realm are really strong. He sighed. He had erupted his blood meridian and blocked the attacks of Duanmu Fei and others just now. Although he was protected from half the power of those attacks, and another portion with the protection from the 9th grade warrior realm, he was still injured. However, it was worth the injury in exchange for the lives of 3 Master Realm experts. From the perspective of combat power, Lu Ming might not have been able to handle 3 of them, even if he had the spirit-devouring worm. Lu Ming had used the peculiar skill of the spirit-devouring worm to surprise them just now and defeat them in one go, so Duanmu Fei and the youth in the brocade garb did not even get the chance to erupt their blood meridians. Lu Ming wiped the blood from the corner of his lips and returned to the battlefield. He consumed the blood essence of Wei Zio, Duanmu Fei, and the youth in the brocade garb. After that, he left the area and found himself a secluded spot to begin refining the blood essence. The blood essences of the 3 Master Realm experts held immeasurable energy. Even if only half of it was converted into essential qi, it would significantly accelerate Lu Ming's journey in his cultivation. At the same time, the injuries that he sustained were rapidly recovering. After the blood essences of the 3 Master Realm martial artists were fully refined, another pale red meridian focal point appeared beside the 2 red meridian focal points on the spirit-devouring worm. It was a 3rd-level blood meridian. Lu Ming's blood meridian had ascended to another level, reaching the 3rd level. At the same time, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak top of 9th grade warrior realm. He was just shy of breaking into Master Realm. However, it was that small gap that was blocking Lu Ming's journey. I've been improving too rapidly in this period of time. My essential qi is too impure and my foundation isn't solid enough. It's no wonder I can't make the breakthrough. With the increased amount of blood essence devoured came the drawbacks. After all, the improvement did not come from his own cultivation, so his foundation was not solid and his essential qi was impure.
Were it not for that, he would have been able to step into Master Realm with the blood essence from the 3 Master Realm experts.
I'll have to stop devouring blood essences and spend some time consolidating my foundation. Lu Ming believed that his essential qi would once again be pure and viscous after spending some time consolidating his foundation, which would naturally lead to him breaking through the Master Realm. Lu Ming then found another spot to move to. He did not continue to hunt for demonic beasts but concentrated on cultivating the true war dragon technique and other martial arts skills instead. He spent a total of 9 days cultivating. After 9 days of grueling cultivation, Lu Ming's essential qi was no longer impure. It had returned to being pure and viscous while his foundation was solid. Naturally, it led to Lu Ming's cultivation breaking through into the Master Realm. Swish! A black sword qi shot out when Lu Ming slashed his sword, chopping a tree that was as thick as a human waist. Essential qi was able to physically manifest in the Master Realm. It was unbelievably strong and was able to form sword qi and qi strikes. My essential qi is several times thicker now. If I were to battle against Master Realm martial artists like Wei Ziyou and Duanmu Fei, I'd be able to end them in one move. Lu Ming's eyes glimmered brightly. Let's try out the Dragon Serpent steps. Over that period of time, his other martial art skills did not improve. However, the Dragon Serpent steps made another breakthrough, reaching the 6th stage called the One with Martial Arts stage. It was the highest stage of a martial arts skill. Bam! In an explosion of essential qi and the vibrations of his muscles, Lu Ming's figure darted around like the wind. The leaves that had fallen onto the ground were dancing in the air while his figure was already 23 meters away. Make no mistake, it was 23 meters. The supposed distance traversed in the One with Martial Arts stage was a little over 12 meters. However, his breakthrough to the Master Realm allowed him to achieve his current distance. A higher level of cultivation would naturally lead to a greater effect when using the same martial arts skill. There are still 4 days left from the end of the trial. I'll have to do my best to find those point-worthy metal pieces. Lu Ming darted away and disappeared into the woods. Chapter 36. Saving the Damsel in Distress. 1. Lu Ming had killed at least 10 6th-grade first-level demonic beasts before this, and there were point-worthy metal pieces on some of them. He had 5 2-point metal pieces and 3 1-point metal pieces, totaling up to 13 points. He has also gotten a total of 12 points from Wei Ziyou and the rest. Lu Ming now had 25 points, which were enough for him to be upgraded to be a bronze apprentice. With a 100-to-1 shot of getting first place, merely being upgraded was not enough for him. The first-place winner would be rewarded with a spirit-condensing fruit. He would fight for it with all his might, even if he was currently far behind in terms of points. Lu Ming put his Dragon Serpent steps to full use and zipped through the woods. He went straight for demonic beasts with point-worthy metal pieces on them, skipping all the ordinary demonic beasts. By nightfall, he had gotten another 1-point metal piece and a 2-point metal piece, which brought him to a total of 28 points. Clang! Suddenly, Lu Ming heard fighting sounds near where he was. Someone's there. Lu Ming could vaguely see firelight flickering up ahead through the canopy of trees from where the sound came from. Let's take a look. He moved towards the bonfire up ahead and saw 4 people by the bonfire. Feng Wu, Yuan Chong, Zhou Hao, and Zhou Su. However, things were not as he would have expected. Zhou Hao and Zhou Su lay limply on the ground, their faces a sickly pale color. Feng Wu had her sword drawn, but her body was shaking. Her face held the same shade of white while her eyes filled with rage as she glowered at Yuan Chong. Yuan Chong, why did you poison the meat? She snarled. With his sword drawn and a warped expression, Yuan Chong snickered. Why? Feng Wu, you bitch. I've pursued you endlessly for the past 2 years. Why didn't you accept me? You even yelled at me because of that bastard Lu Ming before this. I've had enough. You've now been poisoned by my unscented tissue-paralyzing drug. Let's see how you'll fight it. I'll make you my woman today. Haha. Feng Wu's face was distorted with rage as she yelled. How dare you, Yuan Chong? Big sis Mulan will make you pay for this when the test is over. Mulan? Heh. That bitch will become the Duanmu family's play toy sooner or later. Also, did you think you were gonna leave this place alive? Yuan Chong jeered. Are you gonna kill us? Feng Wu sputtered. She could barely stand upright as she struggled to maintain her balance. Haha, Feng Wu, I'll take care of you personally after I take care of you, so you'll only belong to me, Yuan Chong taunted. You pervert. Feng Wu's face was as pale as death. With a shiver, she collapsed onto the ground. Senior brother Yuan, don't kill me. Have your way. Take your time with Feng Wu. I promise not to breathe a word of whatever happened today. Zhou Hao cried. Me too, senior brother Yuan. I swear I'll die a painful death if I say anything at all. Zhou Su added. Unfortunately, I believe that dead people are the best secret keepers. Yuan Chong walked towards Zhou Hao and Zhou Su with a sinister smile on his face.
No, no, have mercy on me. The two of them cried out in extreme terror.
Slash. Slash. Yuan Chong's sword gleamed as it slit open Zhou Hao and Zhou Su's throats. Now it's just you and I. He then turned and sauntered towards Feng Wu. You know. Feng Wu's face was deathly pale as she fearfully tried to scuttle backward. Unfortunately, she could barely move a limb after being poisoned by the unscented tissue-paralyzing drug. Glee filled Yuan Chong's heart upon the sight of a paralyzed Feng Wu. He walked to her side and grabbed her by the arm. Ryep! Debris of cloth flew everywhere.
Die a horrific death, you filthy animal.
Feng Wu cried out in despair. At that moment, she gave up all hope. She treated Yuan Chong like a friend, so she certainly did not expect him to be such a monster. She was supposed to enjoy life, especially her youth, but she was going to die here. In addition to that, she would be defiled before she died. Feng Wu wanted to end it there and then. This place is so secluded. Did you think that someone would rescue you? Yuan Chong mocked Feng Wu as he leaped towards her. Just then, a voice rang out, "Excuse me, my apologies." Alarmed, Yuan Chong turned upon hearing that voice. Feng Wu was ecstatic as hope glimmered in her eyes. Both looked pointedly to where the voice came from. Lu Ming! It's you! Yuan Chong and Feng Wu exclaimed at the same time. With his arms folded, Lu Ming strode towards them with a faint smile on his face and said to Yuan Chong, "What? Disappointed to see me alive?" "I'm a little disappointed indeed. You survived the Duanmu family and Wei Zio. Too bad you're a foolish one. Since you ran away, you should have found yourself a corner and hid like a dog till the test is over. Instead, you're right here. Why? Are you gonna play hero and save the damsel in distress, you piece of trash?" Ha ha ha. Yuan Chong chuckled scornfully as killing intent flashed through his eyes. "Lu Ming, why are you here? Hurry, go now. You're no match for Yuan Chong." Feng Wu had hope when she saw that someone found them, but that hope turned to despair when she realized that it was Lu Ming. "Senior sister Feng Wu, I'm distinctly firm with my gratitude and grudges. I'll repay them accordingly. You've helped me with Wei Zio once, so I'll repay the kindness now by saving your life." Lu Ming smiled. 1. Save her? Lu Ming, you piece of trash. How are you gonna save her? Yuan Chong laughed. "With my fist, of course." Lu Ming's face hardened as he swung his fist towards Yuan Chong. "Do you wanna die?" Yuan Chong thrust his palm and attacked Lu Ming. He was going to increase Feng Wu's despair by destroying Lu Ming's cultivation. Only that would elevate his joy. Unfortunately, ideals were not reality. When his palm collided with Lu Ming's fist, he felt a gush of immense essential qi from the latter that dislevered his essential qi immediately. A bone-breaking pain erupted in his arm. Yuan Chong yelped as he was forced backward. "Master Realm? Impossible. How are you already in Master Realm, Lu Ming?" He cried out in disbelief. "Master Realm?" Feng Wu's eyes shone with hope upon witnessing what had happened. "Yuan Chong, I told you I'd defeat you in 2 months. Well, it looks like I only needed half a month." Lu Ming smirked coldly. "Want to defeat me? Don't even think about it. Go to hell." Yuan Chong bellowed furiously as immense intent to kill gleamed in his eyes. He took his sword up and attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming and Feng Wu had to die. If not, when the test was over, his journey in the mystical sword sect would end too. Chapter 37. Killing Yuan Chong. Slash. Lu Ming swung his sword nonchalantly and his sword light shot out like lightning. The sword light pierced through Yuan Chong's wrist, completely severing his tendons. Ah! Yuan Chong howled in pain as he retreated in a frenzy. How did it end up like this? It's only been about 10 days. How did Lu Ming become so strong? How? No, I refuse to accept it. I can't die. I must run away and report this to the Duanmu family and their experts, so they can kill Lu Ming once and for all. Then, I'll get my hands on Feng Wu. I still have hope. Various thoughts spewed out within Yuan Chong's mind. You've run out of chances, Lu Ming stated as the light from his sword pierced through Yuan Chong's heart. That was all it took to put an end to Yuan Chong's thoughts for good. Curse you, Lu Ming! Yuan Chong roared with regret. Lu Ming was so firm that he did not give him any chance at all. Almost immediately, Yuan Chong's life flowed out of him and Lu Ming soundlessly devoured his essence. From the side, Feng Wu gawked at Lu Ming. She was blown away. When Lu Ming disappeared about 10 days ago, she thought that something bad had happened to him. She looked for him for a few days but to no avail. Lu Ming shockingly appeared out of thin air just moments before and displayed such an overpowering advantage over Yuan Chong and killed him in the process. This was all too bewildering for her. Had Lu Ming been suppressing his abilities before this? It was possible. Are you okay, senior sister Feng Wu? Lu Ming walked towards Feng Wu, grabbed her, and ran as fast as he could. The wind roared in their ears as the night breeze slapped their faces continuously. Feng Wu peeled her eyes open and found Lu Ming speeding through the woods with her in his arms. He glanced at her and smiled. It was a genuine, pure, platonic smile with no ulterior motives. The smell of blood would have attracted beasts. We need to move. Lu Ming dashed through the woods. In no time, they found a quiet cave 5 kilometers away. Lu Ming placed Feng Wu down and draped his coat over her. Then, he sat in lotus position, closed his eyes, and meditated. Feng Wu glanced at him deeply and proceeded to forcefully expel the drug from her system. At the break of dawn, she managed to expel all the drugs from her system and recovered from the paralysis. Lu Ming opened his eyes. Why'd you disappear, Lu Ming? She asked without warning. Yuan Chong. There and then, Lu Ming told Feng Wu everything that happened the past 10 days since Yuan Chong blocked his way. However, he kept mum about his blood meridians, of course. That Yuan Chong is really a monster. How could he also gang up with the Duanmu family? Feng Wu gritted her teeth. All right, now that you have all the poison expelled, I'll be on my way, he said. Why don't we work together, Lu Ming? Experts from different halls have started to band up. From what I know, there's a super genius in the Duanmu family by the name of Duanmu Ju. He's the strongest newbie in the White Tiger Hall. He's teamed up with many experts from Duanmu family and the White Tiger Hall to scavenge for point-worthy metal pieces everywhere because he's aiming to get first place. If you bump into them alone, it's gonna be really dangerous, so I think it's best that we both team up. At least we can watch each other's backs, she explained as she held him back. The Duanmu family? Do you know where they are? Lu Ming's eyes shone as he asked. I do know where they are, but what are you planning? To grab their point-worthy metal pieces, of course. A cold smile was etched on Lu Ming's face as he added in his heart, I'll take it as a small part of their interest repayment. You want to rob the Duanmu family? It's too dangerous. Feng Wu paled. I'm not gonna face them head-on, so what's there to fear, he answered. All right, we'll go together then. She swung her fists in the air, her ponytail swish-swashing as a glint of excitement grew in her eyes. Feng Wu was a mischievous one too. Haha, let's team up then. Lu Ming laughed. Wait. Feng Wu yelped and scurried towards the bushes. In a short moment, when she walked out, she had changed into a different set of clothes. Storage rings. Lu Ming was slightly moved. Storage rings were rings made by powerful inscribers that gave its bearer space to store things. It was extremely expensive and scarce. Even families as huge as the Lu family could not afford one. There was more than what met the eyes when it came to Feng Wu. Thanks for your coat. She tossed the coat back to Lu Ming and led the way as the pair made their way toward the deeper parts of the Midnight Hills. Chapter 38. collecting interest. Lu Ming and Feng Wu hid in a humongous tree beyond 25 kilometers. Two young men were eating roasted meat near that tree. Let's quickly finish up and proceed so we don't get in the way of what the Duanmu family's planned. Got it, it's a big thing to help the Duanmu family capture a lightning leopard cub. Of course, the cub was to be presented to young Lord Duanmu Lins. The two newbies of the White Tiger Hall ate as they spoke. A lightning leopard cub. Lu Ming and Feng Wu were shocked. The lightning leopard was one of the few exquisite demonic beasts that carried lightning in its blood and was as fast as the wind. A full-grown lightning leopard was at least a fourth-level demonic beast, which was equivalent to a leader realm martial artist. Lu Ming was especially intrigued as his eyes glowed with excitement. The lightning leopard's blood was one of the three important ingredients to cultivate the second stage of the true war dragon technique. One of them was the spirit condensing fruit, and the other two were the lightning leopard's blood and the blood mist rocks. 1. Lu Ming definitely needed to obtain the lightning leopard's blood. Soon, the two White Tiger Hall apprentices got up and journeyed ahead after they were done eating. Let's follow them, Lu Ming said to Feng Wu, who nodded and snuck behind the two White Tiger Hall's apprentices with him. A few kilometers into the journey, the two White Tiger Hall apprentices lit a handful of dry grass, and billows of white smoke spread into the woods. At the same time, the same white smoke appeared from a few other directions. Only the north side was clear from the white smoke. Swoosh! Not long after that, a silvery white shadow darted out from the woods and dashed northwards. It really is a lightning leopard, Lu Ming thought. Clearly, the lightning leopard was afraid of the white smoke, so it ran towards the area that was clear of smoke. The lightning leopard is out. Let's corner it towards that canyon over there. A loud voice rang out as silhouettes headed towards the leopard's direction. The two White Tiger Hall's apprentices followed suit with Lu Ming and Feng Wu close on their tail. After a while, a canyon was in sight. For people were guarding the entrance of the canyon while the lightning leopard and the rest of the people were nowhere to be seen. They might have entered the canyon earlier on. Let's check it out. Lu Ming grinned and made his way towards the canyon. Stop. The Duanmu family has business here. Get the fuck out of here. One of the four Duanmu disciples ordered as Lu Ming and Feng Wu came near. Last I recall, the Midnight Hills don't belong to the Duanmu family. Who are you to tell me where I should go? A cold smile hung on Lu Ming's face as he took long strides towards the canyon. How dare you, you brat? Are you looking for trouble? The same Duanmu disciple roared. He looked carefully at Lu Ming as recognition flashed through his eyes and he cried out, I remember. You're Lu Ming. Haha, of all the places you choose to go, you had to come here. Now then, leave your head here. He unsheathed his sword and attacked Lu Ming right away. In a flash, Lu Ming's sword was faster as it went through the Duanmu disciple's chest in a poof. That Duanmu disciple was only in 9th grade warrior realm and was no match for him at all. You killed a Duanmu disciple. That's it. You're finished. The other three guarding the canyon paled and cried out in disbelief. They were not disciples of the Duanmu family. They were one of White Tiger Hall's new apprentices with much lower cultivation levels at only the 7th and 8th grade warrior realm. Swoosh swoosh. Another beam of sword light shone and sliced through their throats. It was Feng Wu. The three White Tiger Hall's disciples fell to the ground, their eyes bulging without any breath left in their bodies. Lu Ming looked at Feng Wu in surprise as he did not expect her to also kill without hesitation. 1. Let's see if they have point-worthy metal pieces on them. Carefully devouring their essence in concealment, Lu Ming searched all four bodies. However, essence from a warrior realm martial artist was of little use to him. Alas, Lu Ming and Feng Wu found a total of 26 points on them, so they divvied them up to 13 points each. They continued to make way towards the canyon. The canyon was at least 1,000 meters tall with smooth, marble-like rock linings on both sides. No wonder the Duanmu disciples had chased the lightning leopard here. In this canyon, no matter how fast the lightning leopard was, it could not escape. At the end of the 1,000-meter canyon, smooth marble-like rock linings surrounded the space too. 5 people were surrounding a white furball in the middle. The white furball was a lightning leopard cub which was as small as a dog. Its fur was as white as snow with strands of lightning buzzing through its body. Blood soaked the leopard cub's fur. It laid on the ground wounded while it observed its surroundings with sad, helpless eyes. Be careful. We need it alive. Just injuring it will do. This lightning leopard's meant to be given to young Master Lin as a pet so he can extract the leopard's blood for cultivation every month, a young man instructed. Judging by his clothing, he was undoubtedly a Duanmu disciple, and he was the only one out of the 5. Don't worry, brother Duanmu. What matters to young Master Lin is of my topmost priority. That's right. The other 4 chimed in agreement. Suddenly, they heard footsteps approaching, and when they turned around and found Lu Ming and Feng Wu, their expressions changed. Lu Ming? What are you doing here? The Duanmu disciple cried out in bewilderment. Why can't I be here? Lu Ming answered with a faint smile. The people at the canyon's entrance. What did you do to them? The Duanmu disciple questioned sternly. Killed them, of course. Lu Ming answered nonchalantly. What? You killed them? You bastard. Everyone, he's wronged the Duanmu family. Let's kill him. The Duanmu disciple bellowed. I'll slaughter him. A gray-robed young man flew out as he pummeled his fist towards Lu Ming's head, intending to make Lu Ming's head explode with a punch. The wind whistled as the gray-robed young man's fist cut through the air, accompanied by the explosion of his first-grade Master Realm's essential chi. Boom! With one foot stomping heavily on the ground, Lu Ming shot out like an arrow. His sword flashed as quickly as a shooting star. PFFF. The gray-robed young man had a deep laceration across his chest as Lu Ming's sword punctured his heart, slicing it into half. You! That was all the young man could utter before he collapsed and died. Lu Ming killed a first-grade Master Realm expert in just one move. The other 4 of them could not believe their eyes. Guys, let's slaughter him all together. The Duanmu disciple exploded. Boom, boom. All 4 of them made their blood meridians explode. The Duanmu disciple had a 4th-level blood meridian while the other 3 had 3rd-level blood meridians. They were all in first-grade Master Realm. Creator's thoughts. Reese. From February 15, 2020, coins spent on books that aren't selected will be refunded within 30 days. However, fast passes will not be refunded. The selected book will have a mark on the corner of the book cover in 30 days to indicate continuation. Thank you for your understanding. Chapter 39. Lightning Leopard's Blood. The Duanmu family was indeed powerful to have gathered so many experts together since there were only 100 people amongst the new apprentices to have cultivated to the level of Master Realm. All 4 of the White Tiger Hall apprentices attacked Lu Ming and Feng Wu with all of their might. Chirp. A chirp was heard as Feng Wu unleashed her blood meridians. Her 5th-level blood meridians were in the form of an ice soul bird. 5th-level blood meridians were considered one of the top meridians amongst the new apprentices. Slay! Feng Wu cried out as she attacked. Lu Ming moved in quickly as he started his assault. Clang! Clang! A symphony of weapons clashing and essential chi exploding could be heard as they fought. There was only one person from the opposing party fighting Feng Wu. The other 3 were going against Lu Ming. Nevertheless, Lu Ming fought swiftly, and his essential chi and swordsmanship were undefeatable. Lu Ming cut one of his 3 opponents into half after a few mere moves. Blood was spilled yet again as Lu Ming's sword stabbed another opponent in the heart. The 3 Master Realm martial artists were as fragile as babies in front of Lu Ming. They did not even stand a chance. Finally, only the Duanmu disciple remained. How is Lu Ming so strong? Didn't that old geyser Lu Yunxiong say that he's only a low-level martial artist? He lied to us. The Duanmu disciple roared in his heart. He could not care less about the lightning leopard anymore as he tried to run for his life. 1. From behind, Lu Ming pierced his heart with his sword immediately. It was impossible to run away from him. Ah! At the same time, a desperate cry was heard on the other side of the battlefield as Feng Wu killed the other White Tiger Hall apprentice. A 5th-level blood meridian carried more destruction than a 3rd-level blood meridian. Her eyes flickered as she gaped at Lu Ming. The 3 martial artists that were on the same level as he was were no match against him at all, and all that happened even before he unleashed his blood meridians. That's crazy. No wonder Big Sis Mulan had such high hopes of him. Feng Wu pondered. Lu Ming walked towards the lightning leopard. "Hoo!" whimpered the lightning leopard.
It lay on the ground with severe injuries on its body as it looked at Lu Ming with eyes filled with despair.
Lu Ming's heart went out for it as he was reminded about the time when Lu Yao and Lu Yunxiong had stripped him of his blood meridians. If this lightning leopard ended up in the Duanmu family's hands, it would not end well. "What are you going to do with this lightning leopard cub, Lu Ming? I think you should carry it out because a lightning leopard cub's really precious out there," Feng Wu suggested. Lu Ming asked with a laugh, "Do you have an empty jade bottle and some healing medicine with you, Senior Feng Wu?" "Yep." Feng Wu nodded as she conjured 2 jade bottles out of thin air. One of them was empty while the other one contained a healing medicine to aid muscle repair and stop bleeding. "Thanks, Senior Feng." Lu Ming thanked Feng Wu as he approached the lightning leopard with the jade bottles in his hands. Roar! The lightning leopard growled and bared its fangs as Lu Ming went near it. "Don't worry, lil fella. I won't kill you. I won't take you away. I just need a little bit of your blood. Then I'll help you heal." Lu Ming smiled as he promptly seized the cub by its neck. Since the cub was already hurt and there was blood oozing out of its wounds, Lu Ming filled the empty jade bottle with about half a bottle of its blood, kept it, and poured the muscle-repairing bleed-stopping medicine onto the lightning leopard's wounds. The muscle-repairing bleed-stopping medicine was a top-notch medicine. Within seconds, the cub's wounds stopped bleeding. "Go on. Find a place to heal yourself, lil fella. Don't get captured again now," Lu Ming said as he patted the cub's head. "One, hoo-hoo." The lightning leopard cub whimpered as it stared at Lu Ming with puppy eyes, surprised about why Lu Ming would let it go. On the side, Feng Wu was caught by surprise too. "Are you really letting it go, Lu Ming? Lightning leopard cubs fetch a hefty price out there, you know. We're gonna take more point-worthy metal pieces from the Duanmu family in a while. I sure won't have the time to babysit it." Lu Ming laughed. "Hoo-hoo." The lightning leopard cub ran to Lu Ming and rubbed its head against his leg. Then, it ran to Feng Wu's leg and did the same. "One. What a clever little fella. It's so cute." Feng Wu praised as her eyes sparkled. "Hoo-hoo." The lightning leopard whimpered as it looked deeply at Lu Ming. Then it turned and ran out of the canyon at lightning speed. Lu Ming chuckled before searching for point-worthy metal pieces on the corpses, conveniently devouring their blood essence. The blood essence of 5 first-grade Master Realm martial artists was beneficial to Lu Ming. They are indeed Master Realm geniuses. They have 30 points each. The point-worthy metal pieces made Lu Ming and Feng Wu thrilled. There were a total of 153 points from the 5 of them combined. Feng Wu only took 50 points and gave the rest to Lu Ming since if it was not for him, she would not have won against the 5 other first-grade Master Realm. Lu Ming's goal was to be the first, so he unabashedly kept the rest of the 83 points. He now had 124 points now. "Give me a moment please, Senior Sister Feng." Lu Ming sat down in lotus position and started to cultivate the blood essence he devoured. The blood essence of the 5 first-grade Master Realm martial artists was very condensed, and as it continued to be converted to essential qi, Lu Ming's cultivation rose at an alarming rate. A short while later, Lu Ming shuddered. 2nd-grade Master Realm. His eyes glinted. Yuan Chong, 6 first-grade Master Realm martial artists, and a few Warrior Realm martial artists' essence contributed to Lu Ming's breakthrough in cultivation. However, his blood meridians were still on the 3rd level. "Let's go, Senior Sister Feng." Lu Ming got up and said to Feng Wu. She looked at Lu Ming curiously. His breakthrough was so subtle that she did not even notice it. She was just intrigued about why Lu Ming had sat down to cultivate, then got up after a short time. Feng Wu did not pry into his reasons. After all, everyone had their secrets, didn't they? Both of them exited the canyon and continued their journey towards the inner parts of the Midnight Hills. Most of the Duanmu family's teams were deeper in the woods. An hour later, Lu Ming and Feng Wu noticed a pattern carved on a tree, so they stopped. It was the carving of a very lifelike vermilion bird on the tree bark. "What does this mean?" Lu Ming asked. That was the 3rd time they were seeing a similar carving on the trees in the past hour. "This is a sign specific to the Vermilion Bird Hall. Someone's calling out for the Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices. You see, the bird's head points in that direction. That's where the gathering's at." Oh, I see. Lu Ming was new to the Vermilion Bird Hall, so he knew nothing about that.
He was not like the other geniuses in the bigger cities who had done their research about the mystical sword school before enrolling.
They normally wouldn't gather apprentices like this. What could have happened? Let's take a look, shall we? Feng Wu suggested, slightly confused. Sure. Lu Ming nodded. Then, he and Feng Wu walked towards the direction that the Vermilion Bird pointed in. Creator's thoughts. Reese. From February 15, 2020, coins spent on books that aren't selected will be refunded within 30 days. However, fast passes will not be refunded. The selected book will have a mark on the corner of the book cover in 30 days to indicate continuation. Thank you for your understanding. Chapter 40. The Vermilion Bird Hall's #1 expert. Night fell as Lu Ming and Feng Wu followed the trail of the Vermilion Bird pattern for another 10 kilometers. They were greeted with a huge bunch of bonfires as the flames leaped and danced in the night. Swoosh, swoosh. A few shadows appeared out of nowhere and stopped them from going further. Who are you? This is a Vermilion Bird Hall gathering. Are you the Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices? One of the shadows asked. That's right. We're the Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices. My name's Feng Wu, Feng Wu replied. Haha, oh, it's you, junior sister Feng. This way. A burst of laughter rang out near the bonfire area as a young man walked toward Feng Wu. This young man was tall and lean. His arms were lanky and his eyes glinted, emitting a dangerous aura. Yin Kai, it's you. Feng Wu was stunned as she laid eyes on the young man. So this is Yin Kai. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Before the test started, Lu Ming had gathered some information from Feng Wu. The famous Yin Kai was known as the #1 expert among all of Vermilion Bird Hall's new apprentices. Legends had it that he had only been 17 when he awakened a 5th-level blood meridian and achieved a cultivation of 4th-grade Master Realm. Yin Kai's gaze swept past Lu Ming without lingering and landed on Feng Wu as he invited her. Junior sister Feng Wu, let's talk over there. Yin Kai led them to one of the bonfires. There were about 5 bonfires where nearly 50 Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices were gathered. The bonfire they were led to had 8 people seated around it. All 8 of them had great presence and were Master Realm experts. A few of them had such an abnormally strong presence that they seemed like they were far beyond being in 1st-grade Master Realm. They nodded when they saw Feng Wu. Since no one knew Lu Ming or had heard his name before, he was automatically disregarded. Senior brother Yin Kai, did you guys carve all those Vermilion Bird patterns? Feng Wu asked. That's right. I ordered someone else to do it. Junior sister Feng Wu, I suppose you guys followed the carvings here, am I right? Yin Kai replied with a faint smile. Yep, we're here only because of the Vermilion Bird carvings and we wanted to know what's up. Senior brother Yin, why have you gathered the Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices with the Vermilion Bird carvings? Junior sister Feng, I'm sure you already knew that there was a 500-point metal piece this time around. Yin Kai's eyes sparkled as he replied. A 500-point metal piece? Did you guys find out where it was? Feng Wu was shocked. Lu Ming was also caught by surprise. The 500-point metal piece. Everyone wanted to get their hands on it because it signified that its owner could get the first place. It was essential. That's right. Yin Kai nodded and continued, apart from us at the Vermilion Bird Hall, the White Tiger Hall, the Azure Dragon Hall, and the Onyx Tortoise Hall found it too. That's why I'm gathering people because this 500-point metal piece mustn't fall into the hands of the other 3 halls. We haven't won since 8 years ago. You want to get your hands on this 500-point metal piece so that you'll be the apprentice champion, Senior Yin? Feng Wu's eyes flashed. Of course. From the side, a stony-faced young man said, other than Senior Yin Kai, who else in the Vermilion Bird Hall is worthy of being the apprentice champion? 1. Feng Wu pursed her lips and refused to respond to the stony-faced young man's statement and asked, do you have any idea what kind of demonic beast has the 500-point metal piece? It's on a mutated black-scaled monitor lizard. This black-scaled monitor lizard is a 9th-grade 2nd-level demonic beast. If we were to combat it head-on, no one in all the 4 halls could take this metal piece away. So, we've come to an agreement.
Since the black-scaled monitor lizard loves to eat Salavira-eyed rabbits, as long as we manage to capture and spike these rabbits, the lizard will fall into a deep sleep. By then, all 4 halls will fight for that 500-point metal piece.
What do you think, Junior Feng? Stay back and help me, won't you? Yin Kai coaxed. What do we get after helping you? Lu Ming asked unexpectedly. What will you get? What do you mean? Yin Kai frowned.
The reward for helping you out, of course.
Let's make a deal.
We'll help you get the 500-point metal piece so that you'll be the apprentice champion. But you'll give us the spirit-condensing fruit when you've claimed your first-place reward.
What do you say? Lu Ming answered. Lu Ming aimed to get the spirit-condensing fruit.
As long as he could get it, what harm was there in giving Yin Kai a boost?
You want the spirit-condensing fruit? Yin Kai's face darkened.
You brat. You really don't know any better. Assisting senior brother Yin so he becomes the apprentice champion is a corporate glory for all Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices. As long as you're in the Vermilion Bird Hall, you should just help out unconditionally. Yet, you still want a reward for helping out? Delusional. The stony-faced young man uttered darkly. 1. His name was Yuan Lang, a well-known genius in the current batch of new Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices. He was a 3rd-grade Master Realm.
Har. Lu Ming chuckled coldly. He finally understood.
Yin Kai carved the Vermilion Bird pattern, gathered the Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices, and expected them to help him grab the apprentice champion title for nothing.
Lu Ming did not have the habit of blindly helping someone out.
Besides that, he was not even close to them in the first place. Corporate glory for all the Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices?
What a pompous-sounding phrase.
Lu Ming looked at Yuan Lang mockingly and taunted. Since it's for the glory of the Vermilion Bird Hall, sure thing. When we get the 500-point metal piece, give it to me so that I'll be the apprentice champion for the Vermilion Bird Hall's glory. Upon hearing that, Yin Kai, Yuan Lang, and his followers' faces darkened like an impending thunderstorm.
Who the heck do you think you are?
You, the apprentice champion? Yuan Lang barked.
Oh.
Lu Ming's voice dripped with sarcasm. He turned and looked at Feng Wu with such disdain as he asked, Senior Brother Feng, are you gonna stay?
I'm done entertaining them.
Nope.
Not interested.
Let's go then. Feng Wu replied and was about to leave with him.
You two. Stand right there.
Yuan Lang bellowed.
Swoosh.
His body moved quickly as he prevented Lu Ming and Feng Wu from leaving.
What does this mean, Yin Kai?
Feng Wu turned and questioned Yin Kai in rage. Yin Kai answered with a malicious smile, this time, I must be the champion, so take out all the metal pieces you have right now. Yin Kai, you, Feng Wu was so mad. She did not expect Yin Kai to be so despicable.
It's okay if you don't want to fight with us.
Just leave your point-worthy metal pieces with me. Yuan Lang looked at Lu Ming scornfully.
Who are you to block my way?
Fuck off like the dog that you are.
Lu Ming raised his voice.
What an arrogant brat. Well, to be this arrogant, you've gotta have what it takes. Let's see what you've got. Yuan Lang mocked, forming his hands in the shape of an eagle's claws, and assaulting Lu Ming. Chapter 41. Fighting a 3rd-grade master. Lu Ming, be careful. Feng Wu's expression shifted as she cried out. Yuan Lang's cultivation had reached the 3rd-grade master realm and was not something a 1st-grade master could compare against. She was afraid that Lu Ming was no match for him. Flame Dragon Fist. Neither did Lu Ming dodge nor back down. He delivered a punch instead. Bam! As Lu Ming's fist and Yuan Lang's clawed hand collided, energy surged in all directions. Both of their figures glowed and they fell back 3 steps. In that exchange of blows, they were evenly matched. A 3rd-grade master is powerful indeed. Lu Ming's eyes gleamed as he thought to himself. With a massive gap between each level, the master realm was difficult to surmount. It was not something the warrior realm could rival. For instance, back when Lu Ming was on the 6th-grade warrior realm, boosted by 3 divine meridians, his true war dragon chi was twice as condensed as ordinary essential chi. In addition to his refined martial arts, he could rise above 3 levels in battle against 9th-grade warriors. However, in the master realm this was not possible.
The additional power of the 3 divine meridians was still rather obvious on the warrior realm. Nonetheless, in the master realm, this power did not appear to be as useful. The main function of a divine meridian was exhibited through one's talent and potential instead of one's direct physical strength. Therefore, now that Lu Ming's cultivation was at 2nd grade master realm, based on his own essential qi, he could rise above 1 level at most to battle against a 3rd grade master. With his refined martial arts, suppressing or even killing a 3rd grade master was not a problem. However, he would be in trouble if he encountered a 4th grade master. Of course, this was assuming that Lu Ming's blood meridian had not exploded. When both of them drew back, the people around them were startled. Feng Wu was delighted. She never thought that Lu Ming could actually exchange equal blows with Yuan Lang. Just how strong is Lu Ming really? He must have been hiding his strength, yet Big Sis Mulan asked me to protect him? It's more like he should protect me. Feng Wu thought to herself, somewhat flabbergasted. By one side, Yin Kai and the rest were gripped by surprise. They had never heard of Lu Ming before. Where did he come from? He had such a formidable cultivation level. Yuan Lang's expression darkened, twisted by a murderous desire. He roared, Lu Ming, take this, 18 hawk claws. Zing zing. Yuan Lang's hands drew something out from his waist. In an instant, he was wearing metal gloves. His clawed hands struck out rapidly and in succession, hitting 9 times in a flash. The 9 claw attacks targeted the 9 vital points of Lu Ming's body. Driven by essential qi, the sharp metal gloves sliced through the air, whistling piercingly as they did so. That's a superior yellow-level martial arts technique. Too bad his cultivation is lackluster. He's barely broken through to the 3rd stage. A cold smile tugged at Lu Ming's lips, then he unsheathed his long sword and wielded the lustrous sword technique. Zing zing. The blades of sword light whipped through the air as Lu Ming slashed Tulivir times in an instant. Clink, clink. The long sword and the metal gloves collided time and again as the 2 figures crossed each other midair. At last, the sound suddenly stopped as they separated. Suddenly, Yuan Lang's body shuddered and he spat a mouthful of blood out. Defeated, a wound had appeared over his chest, deep enough to reveal his bone. If Lu Ming had not restrained his own strength at that crucial moment, Yuan Lang would have been dead. You can scram now. Lu Ming cast an indifferent look at Yuan Lang, then started to walk forward. Clang, clang. Weapons were unsheathed successively. Following that, a girl dressed in white cried out, Lu Ming, there are so many of us here with senior brother Yin Kai. Did you think that you can leave? Yin Kai, what are you doing? All of you are really going to stop us? Feng Wu said with an unhappy look. Yin Kai stared at Lu Ming gloomily without speaking. You may try and see if you can stop me, but I guarantee that the subsequent losses aren't something you can endure. Lu Ming lifted the long sword with a placid gaze which contained an unflinching will. His icy voice caused them to shiver involuntarily deep in their hearts. Yin Kai stared at Lu Ming for a long while. His eyes flashed brightly and he suddenly laughed. Haha, this is all a misunderstanding. Junior brother Lu Ming. You are impressive indeed. I've learned so much from this. I hope that we can be friends in the future. Senior sister Feng, let's go. Lu Ming did not even glance at Yin Kai as he turned to leave. Lu Ming, I was careless this time. Next time, you'll pay for my disgrace today many times over. Yuan Lang's cold voice rang out from behind them. Next time? You'd better wish that there's no next time, Lu Ming said casually. After that, he and Feng Wu vanished into the mountain woods. After both of them left, the white-clothed girl asked Yin Kai, Senior brother Yin, are we letting them go just like that? Lu Ming possesses great fighting powers. Moreover, our main target now is to compete against 3 other halls for the 500-point medal piece. We mustn't lose any manpower. After this test is over, I'll have a plan to deal with him. I'll make him sorry. As Yin Kai glared at the direction in which Lu Ming and Feng Wu had left, his eyes glittered dangerously. 1,000 meters away. Junior brother Lu Ming, Yin Kai is a petty person. After you've insulted him like that, he won't forgive you so easily, Feng Wu expressed somewhat worriedly. He'd better not come looking for trouble with me. Lu Ming smiled faintly. He was not fazed about someone like Yin Kai. Feng Wu's pretty eyes shimmered. Although she had known Lu Ming for quite some time, she realized that she could not figure him out completely. From her point of view, he seemed unfathomable. Lu Ming, what will you do next? She asked. What should I do next? I don't wish to miss out on the 500-point metal piece. A smirk flitted over Lu Ming's lips. Feng Wu widened her eyes as she exclaimed, Are you thinking of snatching it from the jaws of danger? Why not? With a grin, Lu Ming then climbed up a tree that was over 20 meters tall. From this distance, he watched Yin Kai and the rest. He was going to track Yin Kai's group and snatch the 500-point metal piece from them. This guy sure is interesting. Feng Wu looked at him, then climbed the tree and sat on the branch as well. The darkness dissipated, and the light of dawn emerged over the horizon. Far away, Yin Kai and the rest had extinguished their bonfire and were heading into the depths of the midnight hills. Lu Ming and Feng Wu followed them from a distance. They traveled for more than 10 kilometers. After that, Yin Kai's group stopped below a large mountain. Beneath this peak was a gigantic cave. It was terrifyingly pitch black inside. A crowd of over 100 people had already gathered before the cave. Those from the White Tiger Hall and the Azure Dragon Hall have arrived, Feng Wu said softly to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. Lu Ming, if you fight later, there are a few people you must be wary of. Feng Wu pointed to a youth who was wearing white robes with green embroidered sleeves and a purple jade belt. That guy is Duan Muju. He's the strongest amongst the new batch in the White Tiger Hall. After that, she pointed at another youth in green robes. That one's called Huang Yu. He's the foremost expert amongst the Azure Dragon's new apprentices. Lu Ming made a soft, affirmative sound again. Feng Wu rolled her eyes. Surely he was being too calm. These were all top geniuses who were strong contenders for this year's apprentice champion. Chapter 42. The Mutated Black-Scaled Monitor Lizard. In an absent-minded manner, Feng Wu started snorting softly as she pouted slightly. Without warning, Lu Ming was whispering by her ear. You've so much to say. Do you care for me that much? Feng Wu was caught off guard and started in fright, nearly crying out loud. Her small face blushed furiously as she shot Lu Ming a vicious glare. What nonsense is that? Who cares for you? If it weren't for Bis-Sis Mulan's order, if it weren't for you rescuing me, I wouldn't have given two shits about you. Oh. So that's how it is. Lu Ming clicked his tongue and looked away. Phew. Feng Wu let out a gentle sigh. Even so, for some reason, her heart would not stop racing. In a short while, another group arrived. These were the apprentices of the Onyx Tortoise Hall. The 4 halls were all here. Lu Ming and Feng Wu held their breaths as they stared ahead. After a moment, the apprentices of the 4 halls placed one Seelavirer-eyed rabbit after another at the cave's entrance. Then, they all scattered and took up hiding spots nearby. There were over 50 Seelavirer-eyed rabbits at east. The Seelavirer-eyed rabbits were all filled up with drowsy powder. The smell of the rabbits charged the air. Rustle! In a while, a monitor lizard, which was 1/2 meter tall and 4 meters long, came clambering out. It was covered in black scales. This was a black-scaled monitor lizard. Nevertheless, it was evidently just an ordinary black-scaled monitor lizard, which was equivalent to a second-grade second-level demonic beast. It was not a mutated black-scaled monitor lizard that was on the 9th grade second level. The black-scaled monitor lizard spotted the Seelavirer-eyed rabbits the moment it crawled out. It hurriedly scampered forwards and swallowed a Seelavirer-eyed rabbit in a single gulp with great relish. Rustle! At this point, another black-scaled monitor lizard came out as well. It was not a mutated black-scaled monitor lizard either. Soon, a few black-scaled monitor lizards clambered out one after another. In a few moments, they had swallowed 10 or so Seelavirer-eyed rabbits. The apprentices of the 4 halls were rather anxious. They had spent several days just to capture these Seelavirer-eyed rabbits. If these ordinary black-scaled monitor lizards ate them all, the apprentices would not have a second chance. Currently, there were only 2 days left until the end of the test. They had no time to capture that many Seelavirer-eyed rabbits again. Furthermore, they did not have enough drowsy powder with them. Just then, roar! A thunderous cry echoed from the cave. Following that, there was continuous thumping as a colossal creature emerged. This was a black-scaled monitor lizard as well, but its size was 10 times that of the others. Moreover, its eyes were red. A metal piece that hung around this black-scaled monitor lizard's neck proclaimed 2 words, 500. The 500-point metal piece. Everyone's gazes shone fervently. Roar! Upon noticing the coelavier-eyed rabbits, the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard unleashed a loud howl. Rustle! The other black-scaled monitor lizards seemed frightened and they all retreated. The mutated black-scaled monitor lizard forged ahead by itself and opened its grisly jaws. In one gulp, it devoured 5 or 6 coelavier-eyed rabbits. After a few minutes, almost 40 coelavier-eyed rabbits were swallowed by the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard. It roared once more, then turned around, slowly slinking back into the cave. Rustle! At this point, the regular black-scaled monitor lizards, which had eaten the coelavier-eyed rabbits first, swayed slightly before falling to the ground and snoring in deep slumber. The drowsy powder in the coelavier-eyed rabbits within their stomachs was taking effect. The apprentices of the 4 halls did not rush into the cave as they waited for the medicine to work. The mutated black-scaled monitor lizard would not be knocked out as easily as the ordinary black-scaled monitor lizards. Only after 10 minutes had passed did the apprentices all race into the cave. After a few more minutes, Feng Wu asked Lu Ming, "Are we going in too?" "I'm going in. Wait here for me." Lu Ming nodded before explaining further. "Things might get messy in there. If I'm alone, it'll be easier to escape." She bit her lip, aware that he was right. "All right. You must be careful then," she said. Lu Ming nodded. Then his figure darted off as he went into the cave. Outside the cave, there were still apprentices from the 4 halls whose cultivation levels were not that high. Even so, no one dared to stop Lu Ming. Since the other apprentices were inside as well, who would bother stopping him? Lu Ming made his way into the cave without any trouble. It was pitch dark in the cave. Although Lu Ming was a master realm martial artist, with much better eyesight than ordinary people, the cave was dim and gloomy to him as well. Lu Ming held his breath and cautiously made his way forward. However, after 100 meters, there were a few forks in the path. He even noticed a black-scaled monitor lizard's body there. This was merely a first-level black-scaled monitor lizard, so Lu Ming had no interest in absorbing its blood essence. Thus, he simply chose a path and continued onward. In this lair of the black-scaled monitor lizards, the paths weaved in all directions, intersecting in complicated ways. Lu Ming traveled a few hundred meters before encountering another crossroads. Once again, he picked a path at random and went in deeper. On the way, he saw quite a few black-scaled monitor lizard bodies. There were 2 first-grade and 1 second-grade second-level black-scaled monitor lizards. Lu Ming did not pass them up and devoured all of their blood essences. As he walked, he cultivated the blood essence. His cultivation was rapidly improving. It was clear that apprentices of the 4 halls had numbers on their side. Throughout his journey, he did not see any corpses of the apprentices. In this manner, Lu Ming went forth for around 20 minutes, devouring 3 first-grade and 1 second-grade second-level black-scaled monitor lizards on his way. His cultivation successfully reached mid-second-grade master realm. Just then, Lu Ming noticed a faint source of light up ahead. He trotted lightly as he headed towards the light. Upon approaching it, he discovered it was another cave entrance that was lower than an average person's height. He walked forward and looked out of the entrance, and was taken aback. Outside this entrance, there was an enormous underground cavern. It was over 100 meters wide and dozens of meters tall. Everywhere on the stone walls of the cavern were rocks that glowed with a faint light. These were the luminous stone ores. If one extracted the glowing components of these ores, it could be used to manufacture luminous stones which could be used for illumination. With the light of the luminous stone ores, Lu Ming saw many entrances throughout the cavern as well. Through the entrances, he could vaguely make out human figures. Quite a few men from the 4 halls were lying in wait outside these entrances. As for the entrance that Lu Ming was next to, it was more than 10 meters above the cavern's ground surface. In the center of the cavern, a colossal creature lay sprawled. It was that mutated black-scaled monitor lizard. At present, the black-scaled monitor lizard had not fallen into a deep sleep yet. It growled softly and opened its bloody mouth from time to time. No wonder the apprentices of the 4 halls had not made their move. They were waiting for the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard to sink into slumber. The mutated black-scaled monitor lizard was a 9th-grade 2nd-level demonic beast which was equivalent to a 9th-grade Master Realm powerhouse. Any martial artist below the 4th-grade Master Realm would definitely die if they were struck by it even once. Time trickled by slowly. After 10 or so minutes, the eyelids of the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard grew heavier. It was dropping off but was not fully asleep yet. The mutated black-scaled monitor lizard's resistance was fearsome. Even after eating so many Coelaviride rabbits, it could still hold on until now. Swoosh! Just then, a figure bolted out from one of the cave entrances like lightning, lunging towards the black-scaled monitor lizard's neck. Yin Kai! Lu Ming's eyes sparkled. That figure was actually Yin Kai. Chapter 43. Making his move. Swoosh. Yin Kai was very swift. His blood meridian was a 5th-level blood meridian, also known as the green-winged nighthawk, which excelled in speed. He had made his blood meridian explode and was quick as lightning. No wonder he dared to make a move even before the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard had fully fallen asleep. Yin Kai's figure flashed a few times, and he was already beneath the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard's neck. He reached out, seized the point-worthy metal piece, and tugged at it forcefully. The metal chain that bound the metal piece soon broke. Roar! The jerking motion seemed to aggravate the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard. It growled and swiped a massive claw towards Yin Kai. Yin Kai's body glowed suddenly and he evaded its attack. After its blow missed its target, the black-scaled monitor lizard seemed dizzy. With a low snarl it did not give chase. Haha, the 500 points are mine. This year, I'll definitely be the apprentice champion. Seeing that the black-scaled monitor lizard did not pursue him, Yin Kai was filled with glee. He was on the verge of bursting out in joyful laughter. Yin Kai, let go of the metal piece. At this moment, from the entrances around the cavern, one figure after another lunged forward. They were the experts of the 4 halls. Amongst them were the number 1 experts of the other 3 halls, Duanmu Ju, Huang Yu, and Xie Hong. Now that I've gotten it, you guys plan to snatch it from me? Dream on. Yin Kai laughed coldly. As he waved his arms, there was a vague impression of green wings flashing by. Whoosh! A fierce gale was stirred up. Yin Kai rose over 10 meters into the air and flew towards an entrance that was high above him. Yin Kai had planned it all out. With the advantage of his blood meridian, he would snatch the point-worthy metal piece, lure out the experts from the 3 other halls, then leap up into an entrance 10 meters above their heads to escape. Those tunnels were tangled and complicated. If he fled into one of them, the others could forget about tracking him down. His plan was good. Nonetheless, Lu Ming just so happened to be waiting in that direction. Therefore, without a second thought, Lu Ming leaped down and slashed his sword towards Yin Kai. At Lu Ming's sudden appearance, Yin Kai yelped in shock and quickly drew his sword up. Lu Ming? Scram! Clang! The 2 swords clashed, sending out a burst of energy. Yin Kai's cultivation was on the 4th grade Master Realm, so he had significant strength. Lu Ming was swept upwards by a large impact, but since he was attacking from the high ground and was not that weak either, Yin Kai immediately dropped down from the attack. At this point, Duanmu Ju, Huang Yu, and the rest hurried over. Yin Kai, hand over the metal piece, or you won't get out alive. Duanmu Ju coldly huffed, his eyes burning lethally. Formidable attacks instantly rained down upon Yin Kai. Lu Ming, I won't rest until you're dead. Yin Kai bellowed in fury. Save your own skin first. Lu Ming landed by one side and smiled breezily. Hand over the 500-point metal piece. Duanmu Ju, Huang Yu, Xie Hong were all 4th grade masters. There were also other experts at 3rd grade Master Realm. Yin Kai could not hold on to the metal piece at all. All of the attacks were directed at the 500-point metal piece he was holding. If he did not let go, his hand would be crushed. Helplessly he released his grip. The metal piece is mine. Get away! Huang Yu, you dare to act against the Duanmu family. Duanmu Ju yelled a few times. Duanmu Ju, you can stop using the Duanmu family to scare me. Other people might be afraid, but I'm not. Huang Yu grinned coldly. The place was instantly caught up in a chaotic battle. Everyone wanted the metal piece and was struggling for it with their full strength. Essential chi erupted, and the metal piece bounced and danced amongst the midst of all this. For a moment, no one could seem to grab it. Zing! Just then, Lu Ming suddenly perceived a subtle slicing sound behind him. A mighty blow was directed towards his back. Someone was attacking him in stealth. Swoosh! At the crucial moment, Lu Ming twisted his body to one side, evading the attack by a hair's breadth. Lu Ming whipped his head around, and his eyes glinted coldly. Yuan Lang, you're begging to die. The one who had sneaked up on him was Yuan Lang. The dead one will be you. Yesterday, I didn't explode my blood meridian. Let's see if you're still a match for me this time. Yuan Lang's murderous aura surged out as he spoke. Following that, there was a bloody flash as his blood meridian exploded. He barreled towards Lu Ming mercilessly. Slash slash. The icy metal claws stirred up a vigorous gale as he swiped at Lu Ming. His power was even greater than yesterday. Lu Ming did not waste time with words and wielded the lustrous sword technique. Instantly, he had created more than 10 arcs of sword light. Clang! Clang! The exchange of blows rang out in succession. As soon as they fought, Yuan Lang's expression changed, because he found out that the strength of Lu Ming's strikes was greater than yesterday. Could it be that Lu Ming's cultivation had broken through in less than a day? That was impossible. Yuan Lang dismissed that thought. Lu Ming must have hidden his capabilities yesterday. He started to consider giving up. However, the light trembled on Lu Ming's blade. One of Yuan Lang's arms turned numb and he took 2 steps back. Swish! There was a burst of sword light, more dazzling than usual, piercing straight into Yuan Lang's abdomen. Lu Ming, don't kill me! Yuan Lang shrieked in alarm. I told you yesterday that there won't be a second chance. Lu Ming spoke coldly. Then, he cut Yuan Lang's throat in one move and threw him backward. The direction where Yuan Lang fell was the battlefield where Duanmu Ju and the rest were fighting for the 500-point metal piece. With blades flashing all over the place, one was sure to end up as a severed corpse after being thrown out like that. Arg! Yuan Lang screamed in terror. After Lu Ming stabbed his abdomen, he still had not died. To survive, he had to unleash his full strength. His body burst out in blinding red light as his hands kept on clawing the air. Scram! Die! Duanmu Ju and the rest yelled angrily, delivering their attacks without hesitation. PFFF hiss. In the blink of an eye, Yuan Lang was sliced apart. His blood and flesh splattered everywhere. Even in his struggle against death, he blocked all of them for an instant. This was the instant that Lu Ming was waiting for. Without any hesitation, he dashed out. His dragon serpent steps unleashed his greatest might. In one step he covered 20 meters. Swoosh! Lu Ming was like a streak of lightning as he leaped over the fight between Yin Kai and the rest. In one smooth grab, he captured the 500-point metal piece. Lu Ming, it's you. Hand over the metal piece to me and I'll spare your life. Yin Kai snarled in rage. Lu Ming, I know you. You dared to kill an apprentice from the Duanmu family. Give me the metal piece, and I'll plead with the adults on your behalf to reduce your punishment. Duanmu Ju hollered as well. All at once, the attacks were aimed at Lu Ming. With so many experts, he could not possibly resist them stubbornly. He took another step and raced forward by another 20 meters. The mutated black-scaled monitor lizard was lying in that direction. Presently, Lu Ming was only about 30 meters away from it. Behind him, Duanmu Ju, Yin Kai, and the rest joined forces and closed in around Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you can't run. Someone like you wants to seize the point-worthy metal piece? How hilarious. You'll die today. Yin Kai's eyes glimmered with a bloodthirsty expression. If it were not for Lu Ming, he would have obtained the point-worthy metal piece and left this place, essentially becoming this year's apprentice champion. However, all his dreams had turned to dust, thanks to Lu Ming. His hatred towards Lu Ming ran deep in his bones. Lu Ming, hand the metal piece to me. I can safeguard your life. Huang Yu cried out. At the same time, they kept on cornering Lu Ming while he withdrew further backward. Soon, he was only a few meters away from the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard. Chapter 44. Acquiring the metal piece. Currently, the eyes of the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard were narrowed into slits. It was almost asleep. Otherwise, it would not just have sat there indifferently throughout their intense battle. Moreover, there was no entrance on the wall next to the black-scaled monitor lizard. There was nowhere to run. Lu Ming, you have no escape route. Duanmu Ju and the rest closed in slowly. If they were not being apprehensive of the black-scaled monitor lizard, they would have already attacked him. Is that so? Are you guys that confident? At this stage, Lu Ming actually beamed. How could he still smile? However, soon enough, Duanmu Ju, Yin Kai, and the rest understood why. Lu Ming turned around abruptly and dashed towards the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard. The sword light whistled through the air, ruthlessly piercing towards the black-scaled monitor lizard. Lu Ming, what are you doing? Stop. Stop right now. You're asking for it. Duanmu Ju and the rest changed their tones quickly, each of them yelling in fury. Even so, Lu Ming's sword light did not stop. The long sword viciously stabbed the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard's body. Roar! As the long sword penetrated its body, the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard gave an incensed howl and its eyes flew open. One more slash. Lu Ming pulled out the long sword, drawing a gush of blood. Then he stabbed once more. This time, the black-scaled monitor lizard was fully awake. It roared in rage and swiped its massive claw at him. Lu Ming used the dragon serpent steps to dodge the black-scaled monitor lizard's attack. After that, he ran towards Duanmu Ju, Yin Kai, and the rest. Roar! The mutated black-scaled monitor lizard bellowed deafeningly as it scampered madly towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming! Duanmu Ju, Yin Kai, and the rest all cried out in anger, but they could only turn around and flee helplessly. The strongest of them was only on the 4th grade Master Realm. Even with all their strength combined, it was not enough to kill the mutated black-scaled monitor lizard. Why are you guys running? Weren't you about to kill me? Lu Ming's taunting voice rang out. Duanmu Ju and the rest nearly coughed up blood in rage. They silently vowed to never forgive Lu Ming. Like birds startled by an arrow, they dared not linger in this cavern. Each of them rushed towards a cave entrance. Ha ha ha, bye-bye. Lu Ming stepped off the ground firmly and sprang into the air. He immediately landed at an entrance 10 meters above the ground and hurriedly raced away. After running helter-skelter, he covered over a kilometer of the tunnel in a single sprint. Only then did Lu Ming sit down to rest. He thought of something and took out the point-worthy metal piece. This metal piece was made of a different material compared to the other point-worthy metal pieces. It was dark golden and very solid. On its surface were 2 large golden words, 500. With these 500 points, in addition to his previous 124 points, Lu Ming had 624 points in total. 624 points. Is that enough or not? Lu Ming started to ponder silently. It was hard to say. For instance, Duanmu Ju, Yin Kai, and the rest had gathered so many people. Some of them had only kept 10 points and gave the remaining point-worthy metal pieces to Duanmu Ju and the rest. In that case, it was hard to estimate how many points they had, so collecting 500 or 600 points was a possibility. There are still 2 more days. Perhaps I can rustle up some points from the Duanmu family or Yin Kai's group. A smirk tugged at Lu Ming's lips. Just then, frenzied footsteps sounded behind him. They were very agile. In the blink of an eye, a few figures appeared before Lu Ming. Duanmu Ju. Lu Ming sized them up. The center one amongst the trio was Duanmu Ju. The other 2 beside him were genius apprentices of the White Tiger Hall with their cultivation levels at the 3rd grade Master Realm. Upon seeing Lu Ming, Duanmu did not seem surprised as he broke out into a humorless smile. Lu Ming, you're here indeed. How are you going to run now? How did you find me? Lu Ming asked in astonishment. Hee, I might as well tell you. My blood meridian is the keen spirit hound. With me around you can't escape, a short youth beside Duanmu spoke up. So you've got a dog's nose. Lu Ming realized the truth. Lu Ming, I didn't hunt you down, yet you dared to seize my point-worthy metal piece. You've got some guts. Now, hand over the metal piece and I'll go easy on you, Duanmu said. Lu Ming smirked. Does everyone from the Duanmu family have such blind confidence? I truly wonder how you guys became the #1 family in the White Tiger Hall. Are you saying you won't hand it over? I'll show you how my Duanmu family became the #1 family. Flying Tiger Sword. Kill. With that, Duanmu pounced at Lu Ming. Sword chi surged out, and there was a faint tiger's roar. Clang. Lu Ming drew his sword to return the strike. Clang. Clang. Both their long swords clashed furiously. The space in the cave tunnel was narrow, so there was not much room for fighting poses. They could only fight directly face-to-face with brute force. Their swords collided a few times. Lu Ming felt his arm getting tired, and he involuntarily took 3 steps back. Meanwhile, Duanmu body was only heaving slightly. A 4th grade master has such powerful strength. My current strength can't match his at all. Lu Ming thought to himself. Your sword technique isn't bad, but it's a shame you're too weak. Die then. Flying Tiger Pounce. Duanmu grinned coldly and sent his blade slicing towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming had the impression that a ferocious tiger was lunging at him. The Flying Tiger Sword technique was a superior yellow-level technique. Duanmu had already cultivated it to the 3rd stage, and his moves were quick and ruthless. Since I'm no match in terms of strength, I'll use speed then. Lu Ming focused his concentration, fully immersed in the lustrous sword technique. Swoosh swoosh. One sword light after another lashed out, striking towards Duanmu vital points. Its speed was definitely much faster than Duanmu. Duanmu could only give up attacking and use his strength to block Lu Ming's sword light. So what if your sword technique is fast? If force won't work, I'll attack until you can't hold your sword. Duanmu weaved his long sword in an impenetrable pattern, clashing incessantly against Lu Ming's long sword. Waves of powerful essential chi kept flowing out, battering against Lu Ming. Is that so? What if I speed up? Now, a faint smirk appeared on Lu Ming's mouth. His blade flashed and his technique became even swifter. Like the flow of a river, the sword light cascaded unendingly towards Duanmu. His lustrous sword technique had just broken through. Before this, his lustrous sword technique had been stuck at the 4th stage and he had been unable to break through. Nevertheless, in this fight against Duanmu, the lustrous sword technique broke through to the 5th stage to achieve perfect divine-like usage in one move. Duanmu expression changed. Just now, he could barely maintain his defense. Currently, he discovered that he could not withstand this barrage of assaults at all. Swoosh! Lu Ming's glinting sword light instantly penetrated his defense, slashing towards his chest. Retreat, retreat, retreat. Duanmu was startled and withdrew frantically. Even so, he was a little too late. Slash! Lu Ming's sword light immediately left a deep bloody gash across his chest. Duanmu was drenched in cold sweat. If he had not retreated quickly enough, he would have been dead already. Attack! Attack together and kill him! Duanmu roared in anger. Kill! As the other 2 youths and Duanmu charged at Lu Ming together, their 3 spiritual weapons erupted with formidable sword chi. Chapter 45. Slaying Duanmu. Come on then. Facing the joint attack from those 3, Lu Ming grinned and did not back down. Instead, he rushed forward like the wind. You're asking for it. Die! The 3 of them huffed maliciously, each wielding their best technique. Their long swords surged with sword chi, carving through the air and emitting an ear-splitting whistle. The sword chi converged upon Lu Ming. Just then, Lu Ming's body glimmered bloodily and his blood meridian exploded. Immediately, he twisted his body to evade the sharp tips of their swords, ignoring their sword qi. Die then! Duanmu and the other two had icy murderous expressions in their eyes. Duanmu, in particular, broke out into a satisfied smirk, as if the 500-point metal piece was already in his hands. Still, in the next moment, his expression transformed because he sensed that when his sword qi landed on Lu Ming's body, it was like cutting through a bottomless abyss. Instantly, his hair stood on end, and a frosty savage aura enveloped him. Retreat, retreat now, he howled in his heart. However, it was too late. A beam of sword light appeared like a celestial angel, impaling his throat. A fountain of blood spurted out while Duanmu choked out an animalistic howl with both hands grasping at his throat as he fell back. Nonetheless, after a few steps backward, he collapsed to the ground. In one slash, Lu Ming pierced through Duanmu. He drew out his sword smoothly and cut the throat of the other youth. Swiftly, Lu Ming had exploited the uniqueness of his blood meridian to quickly slay two experts. There was only one person left. The final youth felt stifled in a cloud of death. He was scared witless and recoiled in wild panic. Still, how could he be as fast as Lu Ming? Lu Ming caught up with him in a few steps. After a few moves, the guy was biting Duanmu's dust. Lu Ming slayed Duanmu's group of 3. This time, I'm really unscathed. That's much better than the last time. Lu Ming checked himself all over and thought to himself. His blood meridian had devoured 50% of the sword qi from Duanmu and the rest. The remaining half was mostly blocked by his protective essential qi, so Lu Ming was not harmed much. Of course, this was also thanks to the cultivation level of Duanmu and the other two. Duanmu's cultivation was on the 4th grade master realm, only 2 stages above Lu Ming. If he was 3 stages, 4 or even 5 stages above Lu Ming, the end result would be different. Although Lu Ming could also devour 50% of the attack impact, the remaining 50% would be enough to grievously injure or even kill him. Let me see how many point-worthy metal pieces Duanmu has gathered. Lu Ming frisked Duanmu's body but did not even find a single metal piece. How could this be? How could Duanmu not even have a single point-worthy metal piece? No, he must have a storage ring. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he examined Duanmu's fingers. As expected, he spotted a ring. After he took the ring off, Lu Ming sent his consciousness into the ring. In the next moment, a space popped up in his mind. It was not large with a volume of around 1 cubic meter. It was lacking by leaps and bounds compared to the Supreme Shrine. This was the space within the storage ring. In this space, there was a pile of point-worthy metal pieces, a stack of Asilavira notes, and some clothes. Lu Ming did not take inventory. After that, he gathered a pile of point-worthy metal pieces from the other 2 bodies. Along with the storage ring, these were all kept within the Supreme Shrine. Following that, he devoured their blood essences before his figure darted off and left. In a short while, he could see the first entrance of the cave. There was still a large crowd standing guard, but Yin Kai, Huang Yu, and the rest had not come out yet. Lu Ming promptly charged out and scaled a large tree nearby. He did not look for Feng Wu at once. Instead, he decided to cultivate the blood essence of Duanmu's group first and take stock of his harvest before joining her. Lu Ming sat cross-legged between the branches of the tree and began to cultivate. The vital energy contained within the blood essence of a 4th grade and 2 3rd grade masters was refined and abundant. This was something 1st grade or 2nd grade masters could not compare to. Lu Ming's cultivation swiftly advanced. From peak mid-2nd grade master realm to top 2nd grade master realm until finally, after processing all of their blood essences, Lu Ming broke through in one step, reaching the 3rd grade master realm. Even so, the level of his blood meridian still did not progress. Upon the spirit-devouring worm blood meridian, the 3 blood-red meridian focal points were incomparably deep. Evidently, they were reaching their limit, but they just had not leveled up to become a 4th level blood meridian. Can my blood meridian only reach the 3rd level at most? Lu Ming thought, frowning. Forget it. I'll just continue to consume blood essence. I don't believe it can't advance any further. Following that, Lu Ming took out Duanmu's storage ring and started to take stock. The combined points from the two third-grade Master Realm youths were 130 points. Still, Duanmu Ju had the most with an incredible 520 points. Indeed, he had assembled so many people by his side, so his points were impressive, exceeding 500 points. Right then, Lu Ming had collected an awesome 1,224 points. With points like these, surely first place was in the bag. Lu Ming did not believe anyone else could surpass his score. Moreover, there were over 80,000 Esilavira notes in Duanmu Ju's storage ring. That was an unexpected loot. Duanmu Ju was truly a prodigy from the Duanmu family. His background was astounding. Putting the rest aside, even the storage ring itself would cost at least 100,000 taels of Esilavira. Even then, its demand exceeded its supply, and that was a conservative estimate. After taking inventory, Lu Ming's figure flashed and he arrived at the meeting place that he and Feng Wu had agreed upon. When Feng Wu saw him, she asked hurriedly, "Lu Ming, you're already out. How's the situation?" "Splendid." Lu Ming smiled gently. Feng Wu's pretty eyes shone. "Lu Ming, is the 500-point metal piece in your possession?" "Of course. Otherwise, wouldn't I have wasted a trip?" He grinned, brimming with confidence. "Oh, you devil! You've actually obtained the 500-point metal piece. It looks like you've made a fool of Yin Kai, Duanmu Ju, and the rest." Feng Wu exclaimed and stared at him, her eyes wide with matchless surprise. "Let's go." Both of them turned to leave, disappearing in the woods. Soon enough, 2 days passed. The 20 days of the test were up. A lot of people had gathered outside the Midnight Hills, including Xueqi and the other guidance elders of the 4 halls, as well as a few Silavira-robed elders. In addition to that, there were attendants from various halls who were tasked with tallying the points. Other than these people, there were also many youths who were the senior apprentices of the 4 halls. Every year, the new apprentices who just joined would receive extra attention because new blood represented the future as well as endless possibilities. The guidance elders of the 4 halls stood in front. At the moment, the elder from the White Tiger Hall was asking the other 3, "In your opinion, how many will qualify this year?" The guidance elder from the White Tiger Hall was a short, stout middle-aged man named Duanmu Jin. He was from the Duanmu family. Chapter 46. Who's the Apprentice Champion? There are a total of 13,000 points. Technically, 1,300 people should pass, but in reality, it's impossible to have so many people passing. The Azure Dragon Hall Guidance Elder added, "I'm sure that some point-worthy metal pieces will remain unfound, and while some people get higher points, some might not even have 10 points. So, I'll consider 500 passes a decent amount. I estimate around 500 people passing too." Xueqi nodded. "It's always been around this number according to my experience. I'm curious though, who'll be the apprentice champion this year?" The Onyx Tortoise Hall Guidance Elder asked. "Heh, Duanmu Ju, our Duanmu genius of course." Duanmu Jin replied smugly. "You're in over your head, Duanmu Jin. Our Huang Yu's exceptionally talented with an awakened 5th level blood meridian and 4th grade master realm cultivation level. He's just as good as Duanmu Ju, so I think he's gonna be the apprentice champion," the Azure Dragon Hall Guidance Elder rebutted. "Our Xie Hong may be a girl, but she's on par with your geniuses in terms of blood meridians and cultivation too, so she just might win this," the Onyx Tortoise Hall Guidance Elder boasted. "That might not be the case since our Yin Kai's one of the very best too. The Vermilion Bird Hall will emerge as champion this year." Xueqi chirped. Duanmu Jin patted his pot belly as he scorned. "Huang Yu and the rest of them might be kinda good, but Duanmu Ju's still better. Besides, Xueqi, the Vermilion Bird Hall hasn't won the past 8 years, so this year is just as impossible for you. Stop daydreaming." Xueqi's face sank as he barked. "What's the meaning of this, Fatty Duanmu? Are you looking down on us Vermilion Bird Hall?" "Yes, so what if I'm looking down on you? You actually expect your bunch of trash to be the apprentice champion? Impossible. If you remain unconvinced, let's bet on it." Duanmu Jin scoffed. "Damn it, I'm not afraid of you. Let's bet on it, Fatty Duanmu." "Name your wager," Xueqi replied. Duanmu Jin's eyes flashed with excitement as he stated, I bet 30 spiritual crystals on the White Tiger Hall winning. How's that for a bet? What? 30 spiritual crystals? Xueqi yelled in surprise. Spiritual crystals were formed by the condensation of highly concentrated spiritual energy. It was extremely precious and only martial artists beyond the Grandmaster realm could use it to cultivate. The market price for a single spiritual crystal was 10,000 taels of Asilavirer, so 30 spiritual crystals were equivalent to 300,000 taels of Asilavirer. It was an extremely expensive bet. What's wrong, Xueqi? Chickened out? Too expensive for you? Duanmu Jin jeered. Damn it! Xueqi gritted his teeth and snapped. Bet's on, Duanmu Jin. Don't act dumb and forget about our bet later. I should be more afraid of you bailing out on me. Duanmu Jin smiled coldly. The apprentices are coming out now, the Azure Dragon Hall Guidance Elder interrupted. A few youths exited the Midnight Hills. They're from the Vermilion Bird Hall. They came out so quickly, huh? I wonder how many points they have, Duanmu Jin mocked. Xueqi's face darkened as he asked the apprentices. How many points do you have? Bring them all out and have them counted. And not much. Flustered, a young man took out 2 one-point metal pieces while the others had none. That was all they had. Ha ha ha, only 2 points for the entire bunch. What a huge harvest. Duanmu Jin guffawed. The other 2 guidance elders had mocking smiles on their faces. The competition was fierce among the 4 halls, so the worse the other hall was, the better it was for them. Xueqi's face darkened venomously. More apprentices exited the Midnight Hills, but the passing rate was at a low of 10 to 1. Those that failed hung their head in disappointment while those who passed skipped with delight. Naturally, the White Tiger Hall had the most number of passes out of the 4 halls for now. The Azure Dragon Hall came in second whereas the Onyx Tortoise Hall came in third. The Vermilion Bird Hall came in last like how it had been for the past years. While Duanmu Jin beamed, Xueqi fumed. A voice rang out clearly. Xueqing's out. Xueqi, the Onyx Tortoise Hall's #1 expert, exited the Midnight Hills with a gloomy expression. Heh, looks like Xueqing's results aren't as good as expected, huh? Duanmu Jin gloated as the face of the Onyx Tortoise Hall Guidance Elder darkened by a shade. Xueqi accumulated up to 509 points. It's not too bad, but without the 500-point metal piece, it's hard to win with this amount, the Azure Dragon Hall Guidance Elder commented. Well, if the 500-point metal piece remains untouched, Hunger could win with 509 points, the Onyx Tortoise Hall Guidance Elder added forcefully. Someone has taken the 500-point metal piece, Xueqi said abruptly. What? Who has it? All 4 guidance elders blurted out. Whoever had the 500-point metal piece could win, hence their concern. Xueqi shook her head quietly. Initially, Lu Ming had it, but Duanmu Ju, Yin Kai, Huang Yu, and the rest of them hunted and chased after him. A few days had passed and Xueqi really had no idea who held the 500-point metal piece now. The eyes of all 4 guidance elders flickered as they debated on who the possible apprentice champion was. Yin Kai's out. Huang Yu too. Xueqi's heart skipped a beat as he hurried towards the apprentices. Both Yin Kai and Huang Yu exited Midnight Hills with their troops. Go ahead, Yin Kai. Have your points counted first, Huang Yu said to Yin Kai. Yin Kai waved his hands with a stormy expression as a pile of point-worthy metal pieces appeared out of thin air. As expensive as storage rings were, geniuses like the likes of him could still afford them. 496 points. Yin Kai had a total of 496 points, which was lesser than Xueqi. Haha, it looks like I'll be 30 spiritual crystals richer now, Xueqi. Yin Kai has less points than Xueqi, so it's impossible for him to get first place now. Duanmu Jin chuckled. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, Duanmu Jin. Even if Yin Kai has lost, Duanmu Ju still might not win, Xueqi refuted. Oh really? It doesn't matter anyway since I'm still unbeatable as of now. Even if Duanmu Ju doesn't win, I'm not the one losing, Duanmu Jin jeered. At the same time, Yin Kai's face twisted in rage as he roared in his heart. Lu Ming, I hope Duanmu Ju took the 500-point metal piece away from you. He would rather lose to Duanmu Ju than have Lu Ming win first prize. At that moment, Lu Ming and Feng Wu exited the Midnight Hills. Chapter 47. Counting Points. When Lu Ming and Feng Wu walked out, no one paid them any attention. All they got was a glance from the guidance elders and senior apprentices. 3 out of 4 number 1 geniuses were out from the Midnight Hills, and everyone else was mostly waiting for Duanmuju. Only a small number of people kept their attention locked on Lu Ming, and they were those who participated in the 500-point medal piece fight. Yin Kai's eyes blazed. You survived, Lu Ming? How did you manage to evade Duanmuju? Yin Kai's eyes bore into Lu Ming as he asked. Huh. What Yin Kai said caught everyone by surprise. According to his tone, was Lu Ming actually somebody? Why? Are you disappointed that I'm still alive? Lu Ming sneered. From the side, Huang Yu asked with a stern voice, since you evaded Duanmuju, does it mean that the 500-point medal piece is still with you? What? Huang Yu's words dropped like a bombshell. All eyes were on Lu Ming and they were filled with questions and confusion, especially the 4 guidance elders. Who's this Lu Ming? I've never heard that name before. How did the 500-point medal piece end up with him? How's this possible? Many of them were in disbelief. Of course, didn't you see it the last time? With a faint smile, Lu Ming waved his hand and a violet gold medal piece appeared in his hand. That was precisely the 500-point medal piece, and it was the only thing everyone was focused on at that instant. Is that really the 500-point medal piece? Who exactly is this Lu Ming? He actually has the 500-point medal piece. Is he the new apprentice champion? Chaos erupted as shock set in. Ha ha ha, this is awesome. Good one, Lu Ming. Xueqi howled in laughter as he recovered from the shock. He was ecstatic. When Yin Kai came back with only 400 points, Xueqi thought that the Vermilion Bird Hall was about to wave the apprentice champion title goodbye yet again. Besides losing 30 spiritual crystals to Duanmujin, he would also have to endure the latter's relentless taunting. Now that Lu Ming had the 500-point medal piece, it reignited hope within Xueqi. Lu Ming! It's Lu Ming again! Could none of our Duanmu experts kill this Lu Ming? Duanmujin was shocked to the core as he stared incredulously at Lu Ming. When he finally came back to his senses, he scoffed. What are you so gleeful about, Xueqi? Maybe Lu Ming's just lucky enough to get the 500-point medal piece by chance. That's probably all he has. Do you think he could win with just the 500-point medal piece alone? We'll find out after we count his points, Xueqi replied. Did you think you could beat me with a mere 500-point medal piece? Look carefully, Huang Yu said coldly as a pile of point-worthy metal pieces appeared on the counter with a wave. That much? Everyone's gazes froze when they realized that Huang Yu's pile was a lot bigger than Xie Hong's. 706 points. Huang Yu had a whopping 706 points. Gasp. Sharp inhales spread across the area. Huang Yu's gotten 706 points. That's crazy. He managed to get points like that even without the 500-point medal piece. Who's to say he won't be the apprentice champion? Not bad. No one has heard of this Lu Ming previously, so I don't think he's from an aristocratic family. With no one to collect points for him, it's impossible for him to get more than 200 points. Everyone was talking about it. Great! The guidance elder of the Azure Dragon Hall laughed gleefully. Heh. Duanmujin snickered and said, Xueqi, so what if Lu Ming's gotten the 500-point medal piece? I told you celebrated too early. If a piece of trash was fortunate enough to get only the 500-point medal piece, he still can't win anyway. Huff, let's see then. Xueqi huffed coldly, but deep down, he was very uncertain. Xueqi knew about most of Vermilion Bird Hall's new apprentices, but he has never heard of Lu Ming's name. Lu Ming casually looked at all that was happening with a faint smile on his face. He was oddly calm as he made his way to the counter. Lu Ming looked at Huang Yu and said nonchalantly, Observe carefully then, if that's what you want to do. In a wave, a big pile of point-worthy metal pieces came tumbling down onto the counter. From the looks of the pile, it seemed a lot bigger than Huang Yu's pile. So much? Eyes popped out of their sockets and some people nearly bit their tongues as they gawked at the pile of point-worthy metal pieces on the counter. Feng Wu, who was with Lu Ming most of the time, gaped soundlessly. She certainly did not expect Lu Ming to have that many point-worthy metal pieces. When did that happen? Martial uncle, could you help me out with the counting, please? Lu Ming prompted the person in charge of the point counting since he was still in shock. The person in charge came back to his senses and started to count. With 724 points, in addition to the 500-point metal piece, Lu Ming had 1,224 points in total. Lu Ming had not scavenged for more point-worthy metal pieces in the last 2 days. Instead, he spent most of his time cultivating so that his cultivation had a firmer base. His jaw-dropping 1,224 points stunned everyone with their mouths agape. This was mind-blowing. Even without the 500-point metal piece, Lu Ming still had more points than Huang Yu. With points like this, Lu Ming was undoubtedly the apprentice champion. How's that possible? How can it be? I had the whole Azure Dragon Hall collecting points for me, and I spent quite a fortune getting points from some others as well. How did Lu Ming get so many points? Huang Yu roared in anguish in his head. Damn it! Yin Kai clenched his fists tightly in frustration. Ha ha ha, I told you to wait for the official count, Duanmu Jin. It's crystal clear now, isn't it? Xueqi was on cloud 9 as he guffawed and his hand stroked his beard continuously. As he fixed his gaze on Lu Ming, he suddenly felt that the latter was such an adorable person. Xueqi, Lu Ming. Duanmu Jin clenched his jaws so tightly that his teeth started grinding against each other noisily. Oh, also, 30 spiritual crystals please, Duanmu Jin. Xueqi added. Hold your horses. Not everyone's out yet. Our Duanmu Ju's still making his way out. How sure are you that Lu Ming's won? Duanmu Jin selfishly hoped for Duanmu Ju to create a miracle. Elder Jin, something bad's happened. A loud voice rang out from within the midnight woods as a dozen figures rushed out. They were the young experts of the Duanmu family. What's going on? What's the rush? As a member of the Duanmu family and the mystical sword sect, you've got to keep calm no matter what happened, understand? Duanmu Jin's face darkened as he reprimanded the young Duanmu experts. Where's Duanmu Ju? Why didn't he come out with you? Chapter 48. The Desperate Duanmu Family. Something's happened, Elder Jin. Duanmu Ju is dead. One of the Duanmu youths reported fearfully. Duanmu Jin froze. His eyes widened as he let out a small cry. How could he have remained calm? Everyone who heard the news was startled. The other 3 guidance elders had a slight change in expression. A look of joy flitted across Xueqi's face. Duanmu Ju was actually dead? How did he die? Yin Kai, Huang Yu, and some others could not help but look pointedly at Lu Ming. Where did Lu Ming's points come from? Judging by the amount, it was impossible for him to have killed all those demonic beasts alone. Could it be from Duanmu Ju? Speak. How did Duanmu Ju die? Duanmu Jin ordered maliciously. A slit across the throat with a sword, said a young man. A slit across the throat with a sword? Who did it? Cold killing intent erupted from Duanmu Jin. We don't know. When we found Duanmu Jin's trail and followed it, he was already dead. We also found 2 other bodies with him. They were the White Tiger Hall's 3rd-grade Master Realm apprentices. What? Don't you know who did it? Killing intent flickered in Duanmu Jin's eyes. He abruptly turned to face Lu Ming as he barked. Speak, Lu Ming. Did you kill Duanmu Ju? Before Lu Ming could answer, Xueqi retorted with a roar. Duanmu Jin. What's the meaning of this? Elder Duanmu, did you even see me kill Duanmu Ju? Also, you heard him. There were 2 other 3rd-grade Master Realm experts with him. Did you really think I could kill him? Lu Ming answered with a faint smile. Many pondered upon Lu Ming's words. That's true. Does Lu Ming even have the skills to kill Duanmu Ju and the 2 other 3rd-grade Master Realm experts? Impossible. Duanmu Jin scoffed. How do you explain the amount of point-worthy metal pieces in your possession? You must have killed Duanmu with some kind of despicable trick. I'll destroy you right now, you shameless filthy prick. Boom! As he took a stride, a formidable aura erupted from Duanmu, pressing against Lu Ming like a lofty mountain. The crushing weight was too strong for Lu Ming to handle. He felt like a mountain had slammed into him and his body shook as he was forced backward. Blood threatened to spew out from his mouth. What are you doing, Duanmu? Xueqi raged as he hid Lu Ming behind him. An equally formidable aura exploded from him, shielding Lu Ming from Duanmu's aura. Piss off, Xueqi. Duanmu bellowed. Fatty Duanmu, do you have fats for a fucking brain? In the mystical sword sect, winners have always taken it all. Which rule calls for an explanation of the source of the point-worthy metal pieces? Did you live all these fucking years as a dog? Fury rose from within Lu Ming as he berated. He refused to be bullied. Wadash! It was once again a jaw-dropping moment for everyone present. How reckless of Lu Ming to dare yell at Duanmu in public like that. Sure enough, Duanmu was so mad that he shook uncontrollably. He raised his arm and pointed at Lu Ming. You little bastard what did you just say? Great, you're deaf too. Guess you really did live a fucking dog life. Lu Ming pursed his lips. I'll kill you, you little bastard. Duanmu eyes glowed a frenzy red as he threw a punch at Lu Ming. Stay where you are. Xueqi's fist collided with Duanmu. Boom! Both Xueqi and Duanmu staggered backward from the blast. Piss off, Xueqi, or I'll kill you as well. Duanmu yelled. I was afraid that you can't. Xueqi refused to budge. Boom! Just then, immense pressure came from the skies. The pressure was so great that it felt as if it had unfathomable depths like the ocean, paralyzing both Xueqi and Duanmu. Silavira-robed elder. Both of them gasped. In the skies, a displeased elderly man hovered over them and rebuked. Absurd, both of you. Shamelessly fighting to the death in front of all the apprentices as guidance elders. For what? To be ridiculed by the younger generation? Elder Wang, Lu Ming used despicable methods to kill Duanmu and the rest. He cannot go unpunished. I suggest stripping him of his apprentice champion title. Duanmu cupped his fists towards the Silavira-robed elder as he spoke. Hee, I'm gonna say the same to you, Duanmu. Did you see me kill Duanmu and the rest in despicable ways? And you tell me that you haven't fucking lived as a dog. Since Lu Ming was already an arch-nemesis with the Duanmu family, he said whatever he wanted and insulted Duanmu without any restraint. He was sure that Xueqi and the Silavira-robed elder would not let anything happen to him. How dare you, insolent fool? You have no respect for the elders. Duanmu howled, his prosperous body trembling with unconstrained fury. He was outraged. All he wanted was to pound Lu Ming into a meatloaf. You and your yelling, Duanmu. Just spit it out. You're weaseling out. All it took was 30 spiritual crystals for you to accuse and trample over a new genius apprentice. That's certainly a first for me. Xueqi took the chance to mock him. You. Furious and flustered, Duanmu nearly vomited blood as his chest rose up and down rapidly. Everyone else stared with their mouths wide open nearby. Geniuses like Huang Yu and Xie Hong saw Lu Ming in a different light. While they had remarkable backgrounds, even they had no courage to yell at a Duanmu elder in public like that. Lu Ming was flaunting such lawlessness. Duanmu took a few deep breaths in an attempt to calm down as he cupped his fist towards the Silavira-robed elder once more and said, Elder Wang, I'm sure Lu Ming used despicable methods to gather such an amount of point-worthy metal pieces. If he's allowed to win the first prize like that, I'm afraid it'll be hard to convince the other new apprentices. I suggest that we test his abilities. If he passes, I'll acknowledge him as the apprentice champion. No way, Elder Wang. The new apprentice test has always used points to determine placings, and there have never been any restrictions on how the points are obtained, Xueqi objected hurriedly. Duanmu scoffed. Don't you forget, Xueqi. All the previous apprentice champions were publicly recognized for their abilities. Even those who were fortunate were proven to be capable. But this Lu Ming, where's he from? What's he capable of? His words were laced thick with disdain. Oh? How would you like to test him, Duanmu? The Silavira-robed elder pondered. Very simple. Come on out, Duanmu Tao. Duanmu Jin ordered with a wave. Immediately, a young man stepped out from where the old apprentices were. Duanmu Jin pointed at that young man and said, "This time, the strongest cultivation level among the new apprentices is the 4th grade Master Realm, which is exactly Duanmu Tao's cultivation level. If Lu Ming beats Duanmu Tao, I'll acknowledge his apprentice champion title. If not, I suggest that Lu Ming be stripped of his first placing." Xueqi's expression changed. "I object. Duanmu Tao is a 3rd-year apprentice. Even if his cultivation's on the 4th grade Master Realm, it's not fair for a new apprentice to fight someone who's trained for 3 years. If you don't have what it takes, just say it out loud. The apprentice champion title isn't as attainable as you think it is," Duanmu Jin replied coldly. "All right, I'll do it," Lu Ming agreed all of a sudden. Chapter 49. Watch out or you're gonna get hurt. Lu Ming stepped out with a faint smile on his face. Xueqi's expression changed again as he urged, "Don't be rash, Lu Ming." The Vermilion Bird Hall finally won the apprentice champion this year round, so Xueqi was expecting a tremendous boost in popularity and better allocation of resources from the mystical sword sex management. He simply could not allow Lu Ming to throw the first place away so rashly. Lu Ming smiled and told Xueqi, "Don't worry, Elder Xie, just a mere Duanmu disciple with slightly longer cultivation time, that's all." "So what?" He then turned to Duanmu Jin and confirmed, "I accept the challenge, Duanmu Jin." "Good." Duanmu Jin was flooded with euphoria when he saw how Lu Ming accepted his challenge. He cupped his fists towards the Silavira-robed elder once more and said, "Elder Wang, Lu Ming himself said he'll do it. Please allow it." Elder Wang nodded and replied, "All right, it'll be done according to your request then." "Thank you, Elder Wang." Duanmu Jin could barely contain his delight. He turned to Duanmu Tao and stated, "Listen carefully now, Duanmu Tao. Lu Ming's the apprentice champion nominee. He's highly talented, so you've gotta just try your best later, understand?" "Got it. Don't worry, Elder Jin." A sinister smile hung on Duanmu Tao's face as he turned to Lu Ming. "You still have time to just surrender now, Lu Ming. Otherwise, when the match starts, watch out, or you're gonna get hurt later. Don't blame me for not giving you a heads up." Duanmu Jin retreated for a good 10 meters and told Duanmu Tao, "Don't hold back. The mystical sword sex apprentice champion should be capable and know his stuff well. He shouldn't be a piece of trash that only relies on luck. Your time is up." With a menacing smile on his face, Duanmu Tao moved unexpectedly. He unsheathed his sword and hacked it towards Lu Ming. Swoosh! Swoosh! In a flick, 9 beams of sword light that resembled plum blossoms bloomed from the body of his sword, engulfing Lu Ming completely. This is the Heavenly Plum Blossom Sword Technique, a superior yellow-level martial arts technique. After years of painstaking training and cultivation, Duanmu Tao's finally reached the 4th stage. The Azure Dragon Hall Guidance Elder commented with a sparkle in his eyes. "Not bad, even though Duanmu Tao's cultivation is merely average, he has pretty good perception towards martial arts technique. He's considerably talented to be able to cultivate a superior yellow-level martial arts technique to the stage he's at in just a few years. What a clever plan it is for Duanmu Jin to send Duanmu Tao out to fight Lu Ming. I'm afraid no one in this batch of new apprentices is a match for Duanmu Tao," the Onyx Tortoise Hall Guidance Elder added. "Wretch!" Xueqi clamped his fists tightly as worry shone in his eyes. "Haha!" Duanmu Jin smirked. At the same time, a similar smirk was seen hanging on Lu Ming's face as well. He held his ground. Clang! A sword light as fast as lightning burst forth. It all happened too fast. In an instant, the lightning-like sword light reached its target first even though it was released later. As the cold sword tip neared Duanmu Tao's face, a feeling of dread crept up from deep within his heart. Retreat! Without hesitation, Duanmu Tao retreated in a frenzy. Whatever patterned sword light he had going disappeared immediately without a trace. The smile froze on Duanmu Jin's face. What a swift sword! This is also a superior yellow-level sword technique, the Azure Dragon Hall Guidance Elder blurted out as his expression changed. That's right. This is the lustrous sword technique, a superior yellow-level sword technique.
Lu Ming's at least at the 4th or 5th stage, I reckon. The Onyx Tortoise Hall Guidance Elder said as an odd gleam flitted through his eyes.
1. Xueqi was ecstatic. He did not expect Lu Ming to have such amazing martial arts attainment since he was just a new apprentice. Is this the martial arts technique you've trained painstakingly for a few years, Duanmu Tao? Is this all you've got? What a disgrace. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Damn it! Here's one more move. Duanmu Tao roared. His figure dazzled into several phantom images that attacked Lu Ming simultaneously while a tempest of sword chi exploded from his body of his sword. Duanmu Tao continuously slashed about 7 or 8 sword chis out, all of it aimed at Lu Ming. So what if your sword's swift? He would suppress Lu Ming with formidable essential chi. I'm done playing games with you, Lu Ming muttered. His long sword then slashed abruptly. Zing! A beam of sword chi swept across the area. It was a lot sharper than Duanmu Tao's sword chi. After Lu Ming broke through to the 3rd grade master realm, the mass of his essential chi was already above Duanmu Tao's. Duanmu Tao's sword chi was severed in several puffs. Immediately after that, Lu Ming threw a punch out with his left hand. The Flame Dragon Fist. The blow landed right on Duanmu Tao's dantian. Duanmu Tao cried out in pain as his body flew backward from impact and landed heavily on the ground. His face paled as he vomited copious amounts of blood. Silence. Pin-drop silence swept across the entire area. 2 moves. All Lu Ming took to defeat Duanmu Tao were 2 moves. It was a complete victory. Was this even a new apprentice's fighting ability? My Chi Cyclone, my cultivation. Lu Ming, did you just destroy my cultivation? Duanmu Tao let out a shrill cry. The punch that Lu Ming delivered was so powerful that it completely destroyed the Chi Cyclone in Duanmu Tao's dantian. Boom! Lu Ming! The cold, murderous intent that exploded from Duanmu Jin was directed straight at Lu Ming. In a stride, Xueqi stepped in and blocked Duanmu Jin in his path. Piss off, Xueqi. I'll destroy that little bastard. How could he land such a heavy blow in a friendly match? He has such a bad character and should be killed. Duanmu Jin yelled. Duanmu Jin, Duanmu Tao's words were, when the match starts, watch out, or you're gonna get hurt later. I thought I did pretty well by restraining myself and sparing his life, but rather than thanking me, you accuse me of having a bad character. Instead of me, I think the person with a bad character is you. Lu Ming said in a loud voice. Go to hell, little bastard. Duanmu Jin had enough. His face was a bright red as he failed to stifle his rage. That's enough. The Silavira-robed elder waved and a gust of energy poured out, forcing Xueqi and Duanmu Jin to stagger backward. You've got to give Duanmu Tao justice, please, Elder Wang. Duanmu Jin shrieked. Elder Wang frowned. Enough, Duanmu Jin. Nothing is guaranteed when a duel happens. Injuries are inevitable. Stop making a big fuss. To ensure fairness, the Silavira-robed elders had been sent directly by the sect leader to oversee the test. They did not belong to any hall, so they would not take sides. Elder Wang was joyful when he witnessed Lu Ming's capabilities and potential. After all, it meant that there was another genius in the mystical sword sect. He was also annoyed at Duanmu Jin for trying to kill Lu Ming for his personal agenda. The match has proven Lu Ming's capabilities, and since most people are out from the Midnight Hills, I declare that first place belongs to Lu Ming. Elder Wang wasted no time as he announced. Damn it! Duanmu Jin was boiling with rage. He knew he could not make Lu Ming pay that day. I'll see how cocky you can continue to be, Lu Ming. People who go against the Duanmu family never end up in a good place. He cursed in his heart. Not very far away, Xie Hong, Huang Yu, and the rest looked at Lu Ming, perplexed. Lu Ming's capabilities were beyond their expectation. They were so sure that Duanmu Ju had died by his hand. They were secretly glad that they did not go after Lu Ming in the Midnight Hills, or else they would have been dead. 30 spiritual crystals. Pay up, Duanmu Jin. Xueqi snickered coldly as he marched towards Duanmu Jin. Clack, clack, clack. Duanmu Jin gritted his teeth so tightly that they rubbed against each other noisily. He could not weasel out, not with everyone watching, so he painfully passed 30 spiritual crystals to Xueqi. Xueqi laughed in satisfaction. The time was up for Elder Wang to announce the placings. Huang Yu is in second place, and Xie Hong in third. The names and placings were announced individually. With 131 points, Feng Wu was placed in 22nd place. Once the announcement was done, Elder Wang continued with a wave. Now, this marks the end of the new apprentice test. Once you get back to the sect, those with rewards can claim them when you get your identity jade pieces done. You are dismissed. Chapter 50. Awarding Rewards. In the Vermilion Bird Hall, all newly accepted apprentices gathered on the training field. Other than Xueqi, the guidance elder, there were a few other Vermilion Bird Hall elders and a Silavira-robed elder on stage. Huge smiles were etched on each elder's face. We won't award you with your identity jade pieces. Your personal information and your sect contribution points will be in your identity jade pieces. You can use the jade pieces for your transactions should you need to use your sect contribution points. 1. There was a jade piece in the Silavira-robed elder's hand. He continued, even though our overall results weren't great, Lu Ming managed to emerge as the apprentice champion for the first time after 8 long years. He brought glory to the Vermilion Bird Hall, so this time around, we at the Vermilion Bird Hall will award him with another 2,000 sect contribution points in addition to his original rewards of 5,000 sect contribution points and a spirit condensing fruit. Come claim your prize, Lu Ming. As soon as the elder was done, all eyes were on Lu Ming. Some gazes were envious, some were jealous, some full of admiration. Amongst them, Yin Kai's eyes dripped with malice. Only he knew what he was up to as his eyes continuously looked around. Lu Ming walked up to accept his identity jade piece and another jade box. As his consciousness sank into the jade piece, a row of words appeared before him. Lu Ming, 15, citizen of the Fiery Wind City, bronze apprentice of the Vermilion Bird Hall, the Mystical Sword Sect. Residence, Room 1, Courtyard 29. Sect contribution points, 7,000. The information was extremely comprehensive with their residence clearly marked out for them. Inside the jade box was the spirit condensing fruit. Thank you, Elder. Lu Ming cupped his fists as he saluted, then he walked down from the stage. The other apprentices collected their identity jade pieces. Once everyone was done, they parted ways and Lu Ming made his way to the Vermilion Bird Peak. The majestic Vermilion Bird Peak stood tall beyond the clouds. Forests and jungles covered the peak. With all the beautiful flora and fauna found in these woods, it was like heaven on earth. Mid-peak, there was a space filled with countless exquisite courtyards. These were dorms for the Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices. The spiritual energy here is so rich and dense. It's at least a few times thicker than the general apprentices area. No wonder everyone was fighting to become a bronze apprentice. I heard that as Silavira apprentices, some elders and hallmasters live closer to the tip of the mountain, and that the spiritual energy there's even thicker than what it's like now. Lu Ming pondered as he made his way to his residence. The courtyards were numbered on the door, so he found courtyard 29 very quickly. It had quite a huge yard with a patio for cultivating martial arts in the middle. There were also 3 rooms. The middle one was numbered 1, while the other rooms were rooms 2 and 3 respectively. Lu Ming made his way to room 1 where the sight of a simple bed and a table greeted him. It was an extremely modest setup. There was a booklet on the table explaining the basic guidelines and happenings of the Mystical Sword Sect and the Blazing Sun Empire. After flipping through it, Lu Ming kept the booklet aside. He walked out of the door as he heard footsteps approaching. A beefy young man of about 15 to 16 years old walked in. He had big eyes and bushy eyebrows and he carried a sword wider than a palm on his back. He gawked at Lu Ming and was quickly overjoyed. Senior brother Lu Ming, you're assigned to courtyard 29 too. Haha, that's great. We'll be housemates now. The beefy young man chuckled. Lu Ming smiled faintly and said, You're too kind, brother. How do I address you? My name's Pang Shi. I'm a hunter from Seafront City. The beefy youth introduced himself enthusiastically. From his brief introduction, Lu Ming understood that Pang Shi was the son of a hunter's family in Seafront City, and that he was supernaturally strong. Since he awakened his blood meridians when he was 14, his family sent him to the mystical sword sect to be tested and enrolled. Pang Shi was successfully accepted, and he had passed the test to become a bronze apprentice. Looking at this hunter's lad, Lu Ming thought that Pang Shi was more than what met the eyes, since it was not as easy for a normal hunter's lad to be enrolled and pass the new apprentice test in one go. "I'm a little dumb, so please show me around, senior brother Lu Ming," Pang Shi said as he scratched the back of his head. "Are you asking him to show you around? I think it's better if you mingle with me." A green-robed handsome-looking youth walked in from the patio. This lanky young man was fair-skinned with long and narrow eyes. He had an air of untamed wildness that surrounded him. The green-robed youth walked in and scoffed at Lu Ming without warning. "Remember this, Lu Ming. My name's Xueqi. You being the apprentice champion doesn't mean anything here. Since we're both new to the mystical sword sect, I'll surpass you in a year." "Starry-eyed fool? What an odd name," Pang Shi replied in surprise, conveniently ignoring everything else Xueqi said. The green-robed youth stiffened. "What are you talking about, you big dumb buffoon? My name's Xueqi. Xueqi. Not a starry-eyed fool." "It's still starry-eyed fool, isn't it, senior brother Lu Ming?" Puzzled, Pang Shi scratched the back of his head in confusion. Lu Ming could not help but laugh. "You're right, Pang Shi. I heard a starry-eyed fool too. You hillbillies. Just you wait and see. My name, Xueqi, will shake the entire mystical sword sect and even the entire Blazing Sun Empire in no time." Confidence shone in Xueqi's eyes as he walked into room 2 with a huff, ignoring Lu Ming and Pang Shi. Lu Ming smiled and excused himself from Pang Shi to go back to his room as well. Since reaching the Master Realm, Lu Ming's cultivation had risen as he devoured essences constantly. However, that caused his foundation to be a little shaky and his essential qi was tainted and unrefined. He had to stop and spend time to set his base and cultivate his essential qi. A shaky foundation was a huge problem that would affect his cultivation progress in the future. It would hinder Lu Ming from breaking through to the next level, and his cultivation journey would cease. Even having a spirit-devouring word blood meridian to devour more essence would have been in vain. Lu Ming exercised the true war dragon technique, and the qi cyclone in his dantian spun steadily, creating little streams of dragon-shaped essential qi, which flowed through his meridians, repeatedly refining the impurities in his essential qi. After 6 hours, Lu Ming opened his eyes. "My cultivation will be firmer and more consolidated in 10 days if this continues. Then, I'll move on to the second stage of the true war dragon technique. My advantage in the Master Realm is decreasing. I can only obtain higher combat power if I reach the second stage in my true war dragon technique cultivation. Other than blood mist rocks, I've got 2 out of 3 essential ingredients required in the second stage true war dragon technique. I'll go to the contribution hall in 2 days and see if they have any blood mist rocks," Lu Ming reflected. He pondered upon what had happened in the test. Then, he came to a conclusion about what he lacked and determined the direction of his cultivation going forward. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.